Boop, 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 doop, 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 doo, doo, doo. And hello there, ladies and gentlemen, beings of the tribe, and how are we all doing today? Welcome to another fantastic Tribe Talks. We have a slightly different lineup today. You might notice that Wolfie looks a little bit different. It's because he's an entirely different person. We have a special guest on our show today. It is Fatal of the Playbook fame. How you doing, Fatal? You all right?
Yeah, doing all right.
Good, good. I really do appreciate you coming on to our show at very short notice. Yeah, I understand how a Sunday evening, although I don't know if it is Sunday evening for you, it's Sunday evening for me, is often a time of relaxation, and I've come and disrupted that, so I appreciate you.
Hey, look, man, it's 3 hours is enough time to be able to push it around every schedule, so, you know.
Good. I'm glad.
If it was 15 minutes, the answer was like, maybe not, but no, we're good. We got there.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Calthrick, hi, bud. How you doing?
I'm messing with my camera.
You trying to get yourself a little bit more central? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more centered. I'll ruin it in 2 seconds when I shift positions in my chair, but still.
You are a rather, how best to describe, like mercurial subject. You do move around quite a bit in your chair. You lean back and you go out of shot, and then you forget that you need to be closer to the microphone for people to hear you.
Yeah, it's getting reminding myself that I'm on camera. That's the important part. At least my camera has now a little indicator when I'm live, and so you know I'm relatively able to pay attention to it. But yeah, I'm about equal as a piece of candy. Oh, a piece of candy.
Oh, a squirrel. Yeah, fair. So. I get you. We've had years of practice of being in front of the camera and being cognizant of that, but yeah, it's easy to forget sometimes. So, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Hey, nothing big's been happening recently, right?
No,
nothing completely divisive.
For just like everything converging at once for me is like probably the most turbulent time the game has seen, and like from what I know, maybe things will land okay, but like.
Yeah,
it's sorry. I'll just throw in. It's very easy to say like, oh, Galaxy Heroes is very resilient. The game has died like 12 times at this point.
Yeah,
there's the one time where I'm like, are we good?
I'm a little nervous. Yeah, it's a big one, man. Like Relic Delta is really throwing the community for a loop. I think we know that like daily logins of players have been dropping gradually. Not like they're not falling off a cliff, but you know, GAC signups have been dropping consistently over the last year, and throwing in something that is quite so heavily divisive of this with no real sign of, you know, new influx of players is a little bit concerning to me. I don't want things to crash and burn right now. I'm still having fun playing the game, so I don't want it to disappear. So it is a little bit worrying, but who knows? Who knows? Like you say, the game has died, proverbially. Well, probably every year since it's come out. People always make the claim, Galaxy Heroes is dying, it's over. If they do this, that's it. Coffins, nails, everything. The whole works. A whole carpentry shop is coming around to bury them. And it still survives. Limps on in one way or another. But who knows, man? Who knows? Relic Delta is... I've never seen my comment section, or my Discord for that matter, be so angry. One way or another, angry at one group. I don't know about you, Fatal, if you've noticed in your community, but I've usually got maybe 5% of my community is like, it'll be fine, stop. And then the 95 is sort of split 50-50 between those who think it will be okay with more changes and those that think the sky's falling. So what have you noticed in yours?
It's the transparency has been excellent, but like I think it's just been like the angle of approach, like starting with numbers so high, just like
no context,
put things on such a specific note that like I don't know. Like, there's still a lot of questions of like, what is the final number set going to be? What impact on gameplay is that going to have? But like, to be honest with you, for how a lot of discussions have been going so far, it seems like there's a subset of players for whom like more or less the idea of it existing at all is just like non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And so it basically feels like that's where the line is split right now, is like, are you results based where like, okay, if Relic Delta exists but my matches largely end up with the same result, it's just maybe harder, is that acceptable to you or not?
Yeah,
no, there's definitely some players who are demoralized. There's definitely some players who are just kind of like, I'll just wait and see where this goes, but I don't think anyone's really happy with it. I mean, okay, no. There is a community or two who are happy about it, but they are basically self-reporting that they feel like they need Relic Delta to have a chance of becoming competitive again, and that's...
Are these people with rather large investments in Relic 9, but perhaps are lacking in other areas of the game? I don't know how to delicately put that.
I'll fucking say it outright, man.
Mods.
Shit mods. Maybe not the best strategy. Hey, I feel called out. Yeah. No, not quite. But yeah, no. That's pretty much how I've been seeing it here. Not too many. Even Carthrick over here, who is known for having a Relic 9 or 2, who is known for being slightly whalish, some might say. He's not exactly like, yay, Relic Delta, let's go, bitches.
No. Go ahead, Phil.
No, like, to be perfectly honest with you, I was focused on testing the underdog side. That's just how I've always been as a player. Yeah. I understand that, like, now the game has just been going long enough that for whatever reason I'm like one of the bigger accounted content creators, but like, you got to understand that when I came to Galaxy Heroes, the game had been running for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, so I've always come to this game with like underdog mentality, underdog approach. That's why I like off meta. So I was focused on testing that, and it wasn't until I saw the reports that other people were saying of like, okay, if Relic Delta favors me, it just doesn't even matter what I use. That honestly almost hit harder for me, because it's like, whatever. My opponents are probably going to have everything. Relic Delta doesn't really like give me an advantage in that way. Like, I should expect to have less relics than they do. But the idea of like, yeah, but if you just happen to have an R9, they have an R7, just bring whatever. I'm like, And that was like the old version of the build, but that was kind of the first moment where I realized like, Relic Delta, if it favors you, could actually kind of make the game more boring than if it doesn't favor you.
Would you say, and I don't know if this is true, Fatal, because obviously your account is pretty much like it's end game now, right? You said you came in about 3 years into the game, probably about the same as me actually then, about 3 years into the game, so you didn't have the bells and whistles. Would you say now you still go for the off meta so it lets you set a tougher GAC defense?
Oh yeah, like this is no flame at any content creators, but if I like open up a stream and I see GL versus non-GL, I just like immediately leave. I just can't do it, man. The game, I think it just has so much more.
How dare you use C?
I use C. Like, fuck it. If the chips fall that way, then so be it. But like, if I see you using Leia against like whatever B or C team, I'm just like, okay, man, I'm out of here. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, but GL on GL is still fair game.
I don't really do it. Ish. Where necessary.
Okay.
But no, man, it's just like Galaxy Heroes, I think, is the best when there's just right amount of friction. Like, you know, I want matches to be kind of losable. I want my actions and choices to matter.
Yeah.
Where typically holding GLs on offense kind of neutralize that. And what I said also plays into Relic Delta, where
100%.
I think Delta, if it ships with healthy numbers, can add texture and friction without being deterministic. And I think if the numbers land in that range, I'm still not going to call it a net good for the game. Right now, my hope for Relic Delta is more or less for it to land the way that Datacrons did, where it's just like,
yeah,
Datacrons were kind of just a blip. There was a ton of outrage at first. CG did some course correcting. Things landed kind of okay. Like, the player base wasn't too terrible.
The occasional hiccup on an individual Datacron. Like Great Mother's Datacron and Lord Vader with no cooldowns. And evasion through the roof. But yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not a systems problem. That's just a boy, howdy, they sure did print that, huh?
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting actually, Phaedra, because I've not really had people come at this from the lens of, it's not devaluing, but it's taking away the enjoyment that I find in using counters, rather than like the almost exclusively across the board. The complaints that I've seen has always been like, I'm always punching up, therefore all of my teams on defense won't hold, and all of my counters now won't work. People like to, quite arbitrarily say that's always going to be the case, when I know it won't be. But I haven't really had people say, I really like using Bo-Katan Mandalore at Relic 7 versus Relic 9, and now I feel like it's too... no, sorry, other way around. If my Bo-Katan Mandalore team is R9 and I'm coming across, for some reason, an R7 Lord Vader team, and now it's too easy. I'm like, take away some of the tension, some of the fun from the battle. That's definitely one way of looking at it. I haven't considered it.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because it wasn't like, right, BKM versus LV. It's like, right, that's normally sort of like a natural matchup. I know, like, with clones now, it's like the winner's kind of iffier, but I still strongly believe that, right, if you know what you're doing in that matchup, if you build, like, relatively correctly, don't shoot yourself in the foot, your win rate should be, like, 100%. So, but it was more so, like, I mean, when Delta was really extreme, and they were just, like...
Oh, it was insane.
My random R9, like... bad unit with like 1 or 2 characters was like soloing a GL. I was like, that's not good.
Mine was definitely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Garth. I realized.
And that's how I ran into the minefield of the stats were wrong. Was I was using the Old Republic Carthon Assay team with a Zalbar on me in 5v5, just mowing down every single GL, and CG was like, hold on. Like a real Delta of 2, and it's just like, I'm winning a lot consistently without sweating. Like, that's a problem.
Excuse a lot of things, but Carthlead ever being successful is where I draw the line.
Even with the the Zalbar, to my knowledge, nobody uses that as a counter to anything.
I mean,
the 5v5 Zalbar.
Yeah, not in our neck of the woods. Without massive Datacron support, it's never really going to punch up enough to do anything important. But the fact that, like, you were just wrongful stopping GLs, missions out here clapping, JMK's cheeks with 100k basic, and it's just like,
you sure you got these numbers right, guys?
Well, that, and then when they were telling me the modifiers, I was like, Zalbar was modded at 175 speed and was moving before Cat was. So Zalbar was modded slower than Cat's base speed. And so that was the ticker when, like, we finally, like, we're like, no, the stats are something's going negative now, because Cat shouldn't be moving after that at all. It should be moving beforehand.
It's not like you can have any TM gains versus JMK.
No, there's no speed under the leadership. So it was just one of those things where that helped get that out of the way for punching down. Punching down's not as egregious as it used to be, since with the current version of numbers being so minimal for RD1 and 2. But that swing in RD3 still, I mean, it's better now than it was in version 3, but it is one of those things where you're going to start noticing that if RNG doesn't go your way, if modding's not in your favor, if datacrons aren't equal or better, that win rate starts to drop like 30% in very quickly.
For context, for the people listening at home, in case they're unfamiliar with Relic Delta, so you guys want to say what the current splits are for, damage increase and damage reduction, RDs 1 through 5?
If you want to pitch it out there. Or you want me to read it off the chart?
I mean, I'm just trying to get people aligned, because we don't know what the listeners at home know about the playtest exactly. So if we're going to have a big discussion on it, we better make sure they're informed. Yeah.
So if you're positive RDs, we'll go through first. Basically, if you're 1 positive, it's 5% increased out damage. 10% at Delta 2, 33% at Delta 3, 100% at Delta 4, 500 or 200% at Delta 5. Sorry. And then for the damage reduction, it's -5%, -10%, -25%, -50%, -66%, 1 through 5.
Yeah. So the 4 and 5 are astronomically high.
Yeah, and I guess that's Fatal. That was a question I was going to pitch over to you. Is like RD3 is accomplishing the objective that they stated to us earlier or I think actually about a week ago, but 4 and 5 almost just seem like if mechanically the team doesn't just win, like if you can abuse the AI with like Leia, Adred, Jin, or like Ahsoka, if you let the battle go 4 minutes and 55 seconds, she'll ramp enough offense with protection up to beat JMK and Java at an RD4. It's like, what is there a way to tone that in to make it seem more reasonable and still get the same result? Because that's what I see a lot of players complaining about, is like those numbers are so high that it's unwinnable, but I don't know if you can tone them down and still achieve CG's objective.
I don't know. I still kind of tend to start from the position that I still think Relic Delta 3 is arguably a bit too high. But kind of the problem stems from like a lot of the matchups are like kind of where they should be now, but there's just some popular matchups that I tend to think of as important. Like I know I've probably overfixated on it, but I think it kind of represents the whole thing well. Is like Bo-Katan versus Lord Vader is like one of the most commonly played like
it is, yeah,
counters.
Ever since her release, to be fair.
I mean, it's arguably what she was made to do, right? Was to beat Lord Vader. Her whole kit was like, I mean, tailor-made to.
Do you remember the Datacron that first came out with her? I mean, that was.
Oh yeah, that one shot.
she insta-killed on a basic versus people with no protection, and then took a bonus turn. So he just killed the whole team, and then Lord Vader was like, "Aw, guys." Aw. Yeah, no, I agree. Continue. Sorry.
So I haven't published like my latest results, but like for the V4 numbers, like a good like 75 to 80% of counters are like consistent enough now. But then there's matchups like Bo-Katan versus LV that I think are still just straight up hard set at 0% win rate if you aren't using focused Datacrons like Wampacron or Rolocron. And that's where I'm kind of just like,
and that feels wrong, right? Because the aim here, we were told specifically to practice these without the use of overbearing mods or Datacrons in play at all, right? So we should be at a position where that, in CG's own words, that sort of counter should still be working at least some of the time for the average player. And that's simply not the case for that particular counter right now. Yeah,
you know, I took their statement of intent for what it was in good faith and said, like, okay, well, you know, I reached out to Adian, who's another, you know, fellow TW competitor at the same level, accounts roughly at the same state. I said, like, throw your Lord Vader team up in Squad Arena since we can test Omicrons there now just to be sure if people are concerned about that. I was like, throw up your team with the Datacron you would put up with the mods that you would have on. And he did. And then I tried with, like, my normal mods, and then I tried with, like, okay, I'm just like hard rebutting for this matchup. What's the best I could do here? And his Datacron was, I mean, we tried with a variety of them, but like the latest one that we did, it was just like Dark Side Bulk with only like 30% health on rolls. And I was using a Datacron that was like, you know, 70% protection or whatever, right? Like proportionately higher target stats for the matchup. And yeah, it was still 0% win rate. And so to me, like, we are entering a weird stage of the playtest, and it kind of raises a question that I actually haven't asked CG yet, which is like, okay, so the tests are coming back largely in a pretty okay state for the current numbers. Certain matchups are just like still straight up unplayable. I'll slight tangent, but it's not even a tangent. It's the same thing, but from a different angle. I feel like Relic Delta only ever became a topic in CG's mind because of balance issues. Okay. And we've had a balance patch historically, and people hated it. Yeah. You're talking about the great nerf, as they like to refer to it, right? The armor penetration nerf. the event that everyone calls the Great Nerf, but somehow left GLs with more counters than you had prior to that patch. Yeah, that one.
They were just different ones.
Yeah, we fixed certain teams beating Ray, but now your General Skywarkle 501st could just dunk Ray for less costs. Not GLs versus GLs are dead now, guys. Don't look at the win rates. Just don't look at.
You lost the Vader counter, which admittedly was a lot of fun. But poor Vader,
fun, man. But like, I don't know.
But
so like,
yeah.
No, sorry. I'll wrap it up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Relic Delta is being considered because it might have been balance issues, right? You've got certain teams that overperform, even at minimal investment. You've got Zori, who more or less, even if Relic 15 existed, Zori would kill the sides of a Ray squad in just about as many hits as she does right now, right? A Relic 5 Zori squad versus Relic 9, and a Zori squad versus Relic 15, assuming that 10 through 15 were the same as R9. No difference, right? And so like
because of the way that exposes work in general and self damage and TM looping, basically, right?
Yeah, you're doing damage scaling with them rather than your output is like. I do think that there are some problematic squads. It's just like those Relic Delta need to be the way to solve for them, because ironically those squads are still fairly resilient to it. Like I was talking about Zori.
Yeah.
Zori versus Ray, there's a moment of reckoning where Ray throws herself into damage immunity, and then she gets to ult you. Relic Delta stops you from doing that. Zori versus Ahsoka, GL Ahsoka, you don't have that moment. Zori versus GL Ahsoka still just works, even with Relic Delta. So like, where I'm going with this is the squads that kind of are causing Relic Delta to happen in the first place aren't even necessarily being addressed. And then at the same time, you have squads like Bo-Katan, which, okay, let's say V4 looks good for a lot of matchups, but certain matchups like Bo-Katan are disproportionately affected. Is there ever just a case of like, just give Bo-Katan like a slight buff to like maintain?
In your experience, because I know you've done a lot of testing with Bo-Katan in particular versus Lord Vader, what is it about Relic Delta that's fucking that counter particularly?
It has changed significantly as the numbers have changed. You're really kind of getting on both ends for that matchup specifically, because at first it was kind of a major survivability issue where like the average player doesn't really think about the defense as a stat at all. Like that's its own whole can of worms. But like
everybody, if you're not thinking about, they don't think about farming defense mods.
Yeah. Which if you aren't thinking about defense, maybe perhaps you would be interested in a set of mods that could double or more your character's survivability in a world where your characters are taking 25% more damage. That might be a good thing to do. Who knows? Right, but like, you had to worry about surviving. That was like step one. Okay, my characters are taking more incoming damage. We have Ancestral, which is boosting our defense. Step one is survive. Step two is, can I actually do enough damage to kill them? With the V2, V3 numbers, both were kind of problems where like you could, at some like targeting scenarios, they would just like hard focus a character and you could just like drop them. And that was not good. V4, I'm finding that's less common. Although, like a casual player, if you've got like non-bulk primaries on like, what R5, R6, OG Bo-Katan, yeah, she's probably potentially going to get got if you're not careful. And you would at least need to bolster it with a Datacron, right? If you have the survivability down with the current Relic Delta tuning, it is still basically a timeout.
Yeah. So do you kill a certain number of units, though? I imagine you at least get through some.
You can basically get to endgame. Like, you can get to LV Oppo Last Standing. And even in one match, I was able to kill Lord Vader. But, it's still just an issue. Like, I actually had this thought right before we went live. Okay, you know how Relic 9 came out? And Whirlwind got the Relic scaling?
Yeah.
Because it used to be flat, and they were like, okay, R9's kind of disproportionately affected here. What if I don't even bring it up in terms of Relic Delta, but package it in as a bumper. Is like, hey, Relic 10 is coming. Bo-Katan only does flat damage. Could she get scaling with relics kind of like Rey did, so that, you know,
what, so additional instances of true damage based on relic level? I mean, they could balance the numbers down a little bit, maybe, but overall it would be a net positive if you have more relic levels.
If they do it like Rey, it would just be like, yeah, the more relics you have, the higher like ancestral damage you have per stack.
Yeah, because her Whirlwind does 2 instances of damage, right? It's like 7% per relic level, and it does a true damage and a physical damage element, I think. I can't remember now. So having that sort of scaling damage based on relic level, maybe they'll make certain exceptions to kits to shore it up. Or
because that's the thing is, if I can package it as like, this isn't a response to Relic Delta, this is actually technically future proofing with R10 coming, and there's like CG saying
it's a scalable thing, right?
Yeah, right. We kind of hit out both ends. So like that might be something I try proposing on Monday and see if that gets any traction. But
and you've seen them do this with some characters too. A lot of the newer characters in the last year have had parts of their kits or Omicrons that scale with relic levels. Now, granted, they capped some of them in TB purposes, but other ones they've let go. And so it's like, it's not impossible for them to have that added into kits, especially when you're looking at specifically things for like Omicrons or whatever else, so that you can scale it in the game mode it's intended for. Which would be helpful, because that's been the big thing with this is like I just don't know how you get past like the middle finger that is, hey, we intentionally don't want you to really be winning at RD4, and if RD5 still works outside of like Zori, well then that's farther than we want to go. And so I'm just trying to sort out like, how do you package that isn't a complete shit sandwich for players, because like RD1 and 2 now are so negligible that it doesn't really impact much. There might be a few counters where that 10%, you know, additional damage and damage mitigation might impact a very close battle. But you know, RD3 is where things start to swing out. Like I was doing Spectre into R5 and Spectre into R8 Inquisitors and getting my absolute shit rocked. And that just felt weird, you know, for a GL to just get pinned against the wall like that. You know, RD2 winnable, RD3 unwinnable, and it was interesting to see where those bump ups kind of hit, because it's not a consistent line of what counters still function at certain relic deltas. You know, it's like some counters at Relic Delta 3 are just, it's like you go from 90% win rate to 40 if you're lucky, you know, or it's just a flat out lose. And then some counters, it's like you don't even notice the difference. It might have added 20 seconds onto the clock, but that was about it. You don't really notice a drastic amount of difference in it. And so I'm just trying to figure out how you package that out and make that a thing, because I think a lot of people would overall be more receptive of Relic Delta system if either A, it seemed like it wasn't a complete middle finger, and then B, there was a way to kind of help them stabilize their rosters on the front end of it, you know, so that people that have all these R3s apparently that are punching up into R7 to R9 teams can kind of get things caught up a little bit, you know, get 20, 30 characters moved up over the course of a month. You know, that's a whole year's worth of progression for some accounts. And so helping that out would, I think, make it more palatable. But I still don't know how you make those numbers look agreeable, because I think anybody sees 100%, they're just absolutely throwing their hands up like this is insurmountable. Yeah.
And that goes back to your statement earlier, isn't it? It's because like CG is basically saying at that point you should be getting fucked. Outside of very few counters, and people are just generally unhappy with that. It could be 100%, it could be 500%. It doesn't really make a huge matter of difference from CG's perspective, I guess. Oh God, what are your thoughts about that, Fatal? As a man that is, you know, self-proclaimed likes to use underdog counters in general, do you often flirt with the counters that might be operating at a Relic Delta of 4 currently?
It's become small over time, just as my account has grown. But like,
Mhm.
I mean, I assume most people don't know at this point, but like, the way I got started in this game was I had technically made my account at launch, and then the game sucked. It was extremely boring, so I quit it almost immediately.
Fair.
And then came back around the time that Treo was coming out, and so I was in a launch shard. I was not a launch account.
Okay.
I had fucked off.
Mhm.
So the way that I made a name for myself was I climbed to rank 1 in my shard. Like everyone was just unlocking Treya, premier new unit. You know, I'm in shard with like people in top guilds.
Yeah.
And I'm just some motherfucker who has no idea how. You know, I have no idea what a shard chat is. I have no idea how payouts work or whatever. I was just like, I want to get to rank 1. I'm a competitive person. That was just like my goal.
That's fair.
And so the way that I was dunking on their shiny new Treya was with like a gear 8 3-star nest and shit like that.
God. Yeah, that would irk me. I guess back then it would be gear 12 would have been the pinnacle, would it?
Yeah, like everything was like gear 12 or whatever. And so I was coming in with like worse mods, worse gear.
Yeah.
But I just like I worked the matchup and I found the perfect turn order to hard counter them. And at first I got accused of cheating, and they did the usual like, okay, well if you're not cheating, then show us a replay. I was like, okay, here you go. And they're like, oh fuck. It's actually for real.
Damn it.
But yeah, so like I have always approached the game that way. Like I had it right. If you want to make the most out of like being a kit reader and all that, right? You have to have a gun to your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what actions you take if you're using a GL against a non-GL or any B plus team against a C or a D team. And I think that is a lot of what's potentially at stake here. And that's why I've been so focused on RD3, because I think that's the flashpoint with all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it to go anywhere. The one thing that's kind of messing with me, I don't know if you heard the stat that like something like 90%, 97% of matches like on the player side are like
the one that CG came out with. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have my own feelings on that metric.
Well, that metric is massively covered in a layer of frosting, because it is the squad, right? The squad average relics. Yeah. So it's the squad average relics for the opposing team versus your team. So it's like if you have an R9 and then all R5s, you could still technically average out with an all full R7 squad.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really matter, but you get the idea. So it's like, it's hard to say, is that really an accurate assessment?
Yeah, it's hard to take that on. But
I agree with that, but at the same time, I feel like the type of player like me has kind of been a dying breed for a while. Just like it just seems like more and more everyone is just holding all their best teams for offense anyway. So there was a part of me that I was just like,
I think that's definitely the case in Kyber 1 for sure. Like there is very much, for the most part, quite a heavy efficiency meta going on in GAC, where people are like, fucking nothing holds anyway. I'm going to save everything for offense and just blow through your defense, scoring good banners. Get fucked.
So you think in middle ranks there's more of a market for scrappy shit?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm hearing through my community is,
well,
I'm an Erodium 2 type thing. I'm always facing, according to them, every team they face is R9.
Well, I think a large portion too is they just lack the second wall counters, right? Like us being where we're at, we have so many of those triple Omni GAC teams where it's like you've got 4 counters baked into almost every GL you could possibly see, where a lot of these other smaller accounts have one, maybe a backup, and they have to get. That's why I mean the number one thing I see in a lot of your feedback stuff there, Scribe, is like, well, what are the cleanups going to look like? Geos versus a solo GL. Is that going to be winnable if they're coming in at gear 12 or relic level 1 or whatever else? How does that kind of pencil into what's feasible for them? And that's kind of, those players are they're seeing the big thing is like, if my counter gets 4 out of 5 but my cleanup is trash now because of Relic Deltas. I no longer can clear the zone. That's a consistent argument that I hear from people, is that's where they get worried about the cleanups being impacted, because they only have the one counter to JMK. They haven't got a Balin squad yet. They haven't got, Leia or Spectre or whatever else on board yet. They've got the one thing, and that's what they have to use. And so I think when you have a lot more tools to play with, you can just kind of fuck off and do whatever you want, and it's not really going to impact you, because it's like, that was me this GAC. I'm like, hey, I know Wampa's probably going to lose versus this Jabba. I am going to try it. And then what did I do when I lost with it? I just whipped out the JMK and said, F it, I'll just clear it now. Yeah. Like, I don't care. Like you have so many options, I guess. And anyways, that's where the demographic starts to slide is when you're punching through just whatever is in front of you with your best teams, it's always going to look like that. But when you're doing it the other way around, it gets really out of hand really fast.
Yeah, that we are seeing a lot of that back and forth from a lot of the community around all of their sort of. In particular, you hear a lot about like Traya versus Gungans. That's still relatively okay, a little bit spicy, should we say? Because the incoming damage can be scary, depending on, modding, relic levels, etc. But also stuff like Starkiller versus Rey, when the Starkiller might be Relic 7, but you might be rocking R3 and R5 on some of the other units, and maybe now they're just too squishy to hold off.
Looking at you, R5 Cal Kestis.
I mean, he deserves more. I know he's ginger, but he does deserve more than R5. I am worried for my Traya, though. My Traya team is like R5. My Scion's still R3. I'm like, shit, I'm probably going to have to, pump those numbers up just a little bit.
Well, really, that kind of seems to be what Relic Delta is really trying to solve for the most, is you have these characters in these squads who, I'll be honest, like probably didn't even necessarily need R5, but people did for completion. Where like, I'm talking OG Bo in a BKM squad. She's just there to give her unique. She like her turns don't even really matter. Like maybe a well-timed AoE helps you sometimes, but even then, not necessarily, unless you're just on like bad RNG.
To clear some foresight. That's what it's there for. Clear AoE foresight.
Right, it's like you have some characters who is just like, all right, you're gonna sit there at R5, and I'll move you if you get a Datacron sometime, maybe, or if a raid makes me do it. And that's like CG's approach to everything seems to be that they want to prevent situations where investment isn't at least a factor. It doesn't necessarily have to be worth doing, but they want it to at least be a variable. But yeah, I think when Relic Delta lands, whatever the numbers end up being at, if you want to do well in this new system, I would advise people to kind of unlearn what they have learned and get a lot pickier with their investments and kind of rethink investing strategy. Like, look, man, I'll put it this way. In all of the recent non-tank GLs that have come out, how many times have we heard Lord Vader sucks, Jabba sucks, Pirate King Hondo sucks? Yeah.
Everything. Every time. New units always suck. Except for Bane.
Yeah. Except that you go look at the matchup, and you go look at the video, and it's an R9 Lord Vader with an R5 Royal Guard.
Yeah.
Or R9 Jabba with an R5 Chrysanthemum.
Or R5 Bausch, Jesus Christ. Or R7, I think. Well, she's R5 for the unlock, I think.
Look, man. My job is Relic 8. My job is going to be staying at Relic 8, even post Relic Delta. I don't give a fuck. I get that he's a GL. I get that he has the funny Relic Delta or Relic scaling. He doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. JMK, I don't care about. Like, get way more shrewd of like, okay, who does this actually matter for? I don't care how strong the character is. I don't care if you like them and you play the game that way, then sure, go with God. But if you want to be scrappy and competitive and underdog, you got to get down to brass tacks. You got to throw away collector's mentality and be like, no, where does it actually matter? Because I think in a lot of ways, Relic Delta, if it releases at this tuning or lower, isn't necessarily dooming you to have to like get within RD2. But I would say try to get your carries to like RD2, right? If we're talking like Maliko Starkiller or like characters like that, right?
Yeah.
You think about your like key carries on the team, and then the rest you just want to be whatever, you know, the mechanics of the team require you to be of like RD3 or 4, plus whatever durability modding you need to not get blown out, plus a Datacron if you're matching Cron for Cron. Yeah, I like the casual player base can't be expected to do everything I just said, and I think that's kind of the core problem, which is why I keep saying RD3 needs to continue to be lowered. But if you are an engaged player, in the majority of matchups cases, I mentioned Bo-Katan versus Lord Vader, and there's a couple more matchups like that. Yeah, if you're an engaged player who's thinking about this sort of thing, you have tools to overcome this, and like your experience won't really change. In some cases, you didn't even need to change anything at all. It was just like, okay, this matchup is closer, but it's still a favorable counter. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I like. Obviously, you have to worry about requirements first. Obviously, you have to worry about like guild compliance and all that stuff. But past that point, I would really just ask yourself, like, am I doing this for completionist sake, or am I doing this because this is going to tangibly change a match I'm currently having problems with? Because I think when Relic Delta comes out, I think there will be some matchups where it's like, oh, that was just fine. And I think there will be some matchups that are just going to be like ram into a brick wall, like Bo-Katan versus Lord Vader. And the question of how a underdog player adapts to that is going to be identifying the problems. Throw some relics at the proposed solution and see if that gets them out, so to speak. So that's my approach to it. If you're an underdog player, I don't think you're hosed. No,
I agree. I don't think anybody is completely hosed, and I think you're completely right in that, like, the base way that we upgrade units, particularly those that you take to high levels of relic levels, like Relic 9, I don't think that changes in this world. You're still going to be R9ing your Ad-Reds, your Darth Revens, your Malaks. You're still, if you haven't got all your GLs, you're still going to be going for, you know, your Pirate King Hondos and your Glats. Those are still going to be priority R9 units that are kind of non-negotiable. Like, if you want to have all the GLs, you want to have all the meta teams, you still got to do those as requirements, and they're going to take precedent, most likely, over any of your big R9 investments. For sure. Where it goes from there is definitely where it's going to get fuzzy in the weeds. Because it is, like you say, you're going to have to cherry pick. And it's not going to, you won't need to do entire teams worth of relics. It's like you said. You know, take your Star Killer to Relic 9. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe Relic 8 is going to be enough until R10 comes in. Who knows? And we don't know how easy R10 is going to be to invest either. So
I should test R7 Star Killer, but I would bet R7 Star Killer is fine.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, if you can get him to unleash, that damage increase on his kit is pretty nutty. It carries pretty well.
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna grab a drink. Back in a sec.
The thing that I run into an issue with the conversation of Relic Delta is an unfortunate unknown quantity, and that is, what does Relic 10 add to the table? Because, you know, we've heard that, you know, Relic 9 was kind of a balance patch on things that weren't done properly. You know, tanks got left behind, so they made an egregious correction for the tank so that they kind of get caught up with what they're supposed to be doing. And so when we're looking at what R10 adds, it's like, because we talked about this in the Discord the other day, right? Is when we were looking at punching up with Inquisitors into JMK, and the bulk starts to cause the problem of the win rate, where that starts to impact that. And then you start looking at, well, if R10 adds an egregious amount of health and protection to that team, then if you try to go in even an RD of 3 R7 Inquisitors into a Relic 10 JMK squad, you know, you may not get through General Kenobi by the time, you know, JMK gets to his ult. Like, that might just change. Like, so it's hard for me to want to like push out balance, like, balance numbers when we have a goalpost moving like in tandem with this coming into the game, and that frustrates me to no end and not have that answer. Because like I can give you my recommendations, but it might just go ass over tea kettle the second RD10 or not RD, but Relic 10 comes out. It's like, oh yeah, every character is getting 10,000 health protection, 1,000 offense, and for kicks and giggles we threw in 20 speed, so might as well, right? And so it's like then RD3 becomes unwinnable for when you start looking at R7 into R10 because that's going to be a massive boost. So anyways, I have a hard time trying to get these Relic Delta levels kind of sorted out in my head, because the second we push this out, there's going to be a goalpost that moves immediately with it.
Yeah, it would be good to have more info. That's for sure.
It feels like so much of this scenario would have hit differently if the ordering just happened differently. Like, so much of this, I think, has been worsened by CG not addressing PvP.
Yeah.
And, like, imagine if CG had released PvP, released Relic 10, released, whatever else is like community request first, and then Relic Delta comes, because we've been asking for PvP changes for like years now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still like the cornerstone of frustration, and they haven't even commented on it. So it's like, for this to come without the problem even being addressed is just like, dude, like it's kind of a read the room moment where, if everyone was chewing on a PvP rework, if everyone was chewing on new progression, and then CG put out Relic Delta, is like, hey, we see how things are going. We think this is an issue, and we're going to try this as a way to try to solve it.
If they'd have done it in a shit sandwich kind of way, we get some bread on either side, something nice for us to eat, and then we maybe don't notice the shit in the middle, which is RD9. But instead, we're just getting the shit. And we're going to kind of lick it off the floor. And that's not an enjoyable meal. It's not enjoyable for anybody. So,
or even like, they say there's a new game mode and there's more Relic stuff coming. Tell us about that, and then tell us about Relic Delta. I feel like, they did this early because they want to get ahead of it. So like maybe that is more wishful thinking than is possible. But like,
I've still got cynics in my community that are like, CG are only saying this about easing relic levels because of the community reaction, rather than it was planned all along. And I don't know what to believe, truth be told. It's hard to say. Maybe they did have it planned. They just weren't going to talk about it yet. Maybe they didn't have it planned, and they were like, let's put out some fires. Let's cool the burn a little bit. Who knows? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, that's where I get stuck on this too, because like that was some of my feedback too. I was like, can you guys even give a nod that you're like, hey, we recognize that PvP is an important like aspect of this game, and there's problems. We want to get this implemented first. We'll evaluate how the shift is in GAC. I don't think you can evaluate TW. That's a cluster that's just, you can't unfuck that without a new system. With current matchmaking in ways. And so GAC, I think you'll start to see the natural pull away from players that shouldn't be in Carbonite anymore, because if they show up at all, they'll win, because they'll just go in with a RD5 team and rumple stomp the opposing board. Like there's no way that they're going to get caught out on a Gear 12 Geo squad anymore if they have a Relic 5 team to throw at it. And so like that natural pull should occur over a season or two, and kind of maybe multiple seasons, and that should help balance GAC to a degree, but it doesn't solve the heartache in the interim, because you're asking for players to basically take 3 months of gut punches and eating a shit sandwich and being like, well, we hope it gets better.
Maybe.
And that's the answer. Yeah. And that's the answer. Like, that's kind of dog shit. Like, you should really be like, for me, this is what I have my little document I'm drafting as kind of ways to the proverbial help, the sugar for the medicine to go down. Spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, kind of thing. because I think that's the only way this lands without being an utter blunder for them, because I don't think there's a way this can land and still be seen as a net positive, at least for the foreseeable future. 6 months is probably just going to be people griping, complaining, and well, that's it. I'm done playing the game kind of mentality. And so they kind of have to mitigate that, let people be in it long enough to kind of let it balance out, like Datacrons kind of did over the first few seasons we had those, and then it should work out. But otherwise I'm at a loss for what the play is.
Yeah, it's a tricky place to be. It's a tricky place to be. And I don't know. Like, CG have made it pretty clear this is coming one way or another. So we're going to have to learn to like it, I guess. I don't know. Like, to me, the bottom ends of GAC. It's not even the bottom ends is the fucked up thing, right? We can wax lyrical about how GAC itself needs an overhaul. But when you look at anything, even like Erodium below, some of those matches there have got such wide discrepancies in fucking GP levels between the players that it's going to make Relic Delta matches it's going to make that matchup issue feel 10 times worse. 10 times worse for those poor sods. I mean, I feel it on my little alt account at the moment. That's like 2 mil GP in Carbonite 1. And I'm like, oh, it's my third, 9 mil GP opponent this week. Like, all right. So I did, and I've managed to win some of those because I have Executor and they don't know how to fleet and stuff like that, because I've managed to clear through enough, right? And I've been doing that with severely punching up scenarios because their mods are fucking terrible. And my mods are terrible too, but they're better than their terrible mods. I'm talking like, you'll see an R7 Darth Revan team and it's got 20 speed. And you're like, okay, so I guess my bounty hunters for some reason win. It's stuff like that. But with Relic Delta in play, that's going to get much harder. It's going to make a shit situation feel more shit. And they just don't seem interested in even acknowledging that issue, let alone addressing it. So
that's kind of the cope angle that I have is Relic Delta exacerbates the GAC and TW issues so much that I'm like, there's no way they could just leave it alone now, right? Like they kind of
have to address it. Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah, I mean, we went back and forth a little bit in my community, and we were like, hey, well, I mean, look at it this way. You'll be losing versus those big accounts. They'll eventually get outside of your skill rating, and you won't face them anymore. GAC issue resolved because you've lost too many matches. But that's not really a solution, because eventually you'll start winning when you start matching up with people your own skill rating again. And then you'll hit that point where you face them again. The cycle begins anew. It just changes when.
and the CG could address that in a at least from GAC perspective by adding like feats back to GAC rounds where you get like relic rewards for completing things, like different things you can look at on that front that might reward players for engaging in a losing battle, but I don't know if that would be a long-term thing they'd want to do, or if they'd want to do something where they just completely upend the system. Because, I mean, I would almost go back to the system we had before the championship started, where it was just like you got matched on the top half of your roster and full send it.
Yeah, but CG don't like that.
You over feats for turning. I'm sorry. Feats were... I hated them. I literally just refused to play with feats. I would just ignore them.
Well, the thing that pissed me off about feats in GAC was it directly tied into your skill rating. Like, if they were just feats, then, it's something fun maybe for you to do for some cosmetic or a bit of gear. But it actually affected your skill rating. Like,
it benefited whales, and it actively caused win trading.
Yeah.
Let me reiterate the point. Like not feats as they used to be. Just like let's call them quests for GAC. So it's like you get like clear a zone in GAC this week, get 50 carbonite circuit boards, right?
Okay.
Like that level of what I mean by adding feats back. Sorry, more like adding like a little quest series, so that players can engage with GAC in a losing manner, but still get meaningful rewards to help bolster their roster. But that's what I mean by that. No, not the old system. That was. I hated trying to find a match to win.
Oh,
like I would be DMing my opponents. I'm like, hey, I really want this title/portrait. Can you set something down that I can use this team to be? I'll do the same for you.
I need to win with 3 Jawas. Help a brother out.
I wouldn't answer, and then I would post the hardest defense I possibly could.
Because fuck you, that's why.
I just don't like the idea of CG being like, hey, you know your favorite defense team that you worked really hard on? This feat says you have to hold it on offense for this season. I'm like, fucking no, I don't. I don't want to do that. I refuse.
The fuck I do. On defense
like,
it goes.
Okay, well, you want to play with your favorite team the way you want? Well, you just can't be high on the leaderboard then. So,
yeah, no, I wasn't a fan of that. And plus, because, back then, I imagine Fatal was probably in the same place as I was, where my roster wasn't particularly deep anyway. So there were so many feats that I was just like, oh, well, I just don't fucking have that. And now I feel bad. I'm like, God damn it.
That's why I'm saying, like, literally imagine what it feels like to go through conquest feats. And now imagine that applying to your competitive rank and like your ability to compete. Like,
it costs you crystals in GAC.
Though speaking of conquest and everyone's concern with Relic Delta in that particular environment, would I in my head, I think for the most part, if CG just goes down to like mind-numbingly dumb conquest feats, like we go down to win X battles X amount of times, don't make it an egregious number of times, but like
not the 40 wins with fucking whatever faction. God, I hate those feats.
like prescribed squads like they've done in the past or whatever. If they dumb it down to that, I think then conquest feats nobody's going to get too fussy about with Relic Delta being in there. But the ones where you got to grind, like 300 exposes or evasion ups or whatever like that. Those get really challenging if you're punching down on the Relic Delta and obliterating the enemy squad, or if you can't get the team to function because your only evasion or what riposte is the one with the bad batch right now. Like your riposte is you got R5 new bad batch and they can't live long enough in sector 5 to get the feed up meaningfully because of deltas. And so I don't know that the feat part, the part of it is just like, I don't know if they go to like really dumb feats and just to, hey, have this and win.
Speaking, like for me, I would so hate it if it just went to grind feats. Like like you said, for example, instead of inflict Order 66 15 times, it's now just win 15 battles with a full squad of Darkseid clones and Lord Vader or something like that, right? I would hate that just selfishly because I put out conquest videos all the time and they do pretty well. I'm like, now you're costing me money, CG. Now you're taking money out of my pocket. Stop it. But I realize that that's incredibly selfish and I wouldn't take that stance. I would just, grumble to myself silently. But I don't know what the solution is for Conquest itself. They could have just not applied it to Conquest, I guess.
The funny part is they're not going to on the first pass, so they are capable. They are quote unquote capable of separating the system from the environment. And I'm like, at a certain junction, maybe you just don't apply it there. And you don't have to rework Conquest. You let it go.
Yeah, it's weird. Have you got any thoughts on Conquest, Fatal?
I don't know, man. Like, they say it's supposed to be easier, but like, Conquest was already kind of easy. Like, I don't really need Conquest to be easier. I need Conquest to be shorter.
Yeah, it's instead of that sort of 1-2 day mad dash to Sector 4. Right,
like the hardest part of Conquest is well, for me, it's like 2 or 3 days left in Conquest. Okay, I need to get red box. Okay, there's all these feeds asking me to figure out like the optimal ways to do it. Okay, I got to figure out how to cheese this. Okay, I've got to figure out which team to run here. And like, yeah, what you said, the idea of like, oh, Conquest becoming grindier. Like, I don't care if Conquest battles become easier because we're already like, generally. It's weird because in my head, like I think of Conquest, and it's like, well, what if you get a bad disc build? But I couldn't tell you one time in Conquest where I didn't have like a viable disc build. Holistically, we usually have a good set of discs that makes Conquest easy. It might not necessarily be easy to start, and the discs might make some feats a pain in the ass to get. Sometimes you might need to have to like unequip them, but for the most part, once you get your disc rolling, Conquest is easy. So you tell me Relic Delta makes Conquest easier. That's
I mean, I think it's really easy for us to say that. I don't know what your GP is now, but I like 14 million is where I'm at now. And yeah, Conquest is easy. I have the toys, the bells, the whistles, the high relics, the good mods. But a lot of people don't, right? You can go into hard mode from 4 mil. And I imagine it's a lot harder at 4 mil compared to 14.
Well, to be honest, when I say it's easy, I'm not talking about using the newest latest. Like, I would still argue that some of the best squads in Conquest are your squads like CLS, Grievous, squads that can either get started easy, or sorry, get started early, right? Squads like CLS and Grievous and like scrappy shit like Maul Watt. Right? These are very old characters, but
Reaver is also incredibly good, but that's obviously not quite so new and accessible, old and accessible.
Yeah. But the whole point being, right? Like, if I'm a new player trying to approach Conquest, I would focus on narrowing down the teams, the early game teams that can function well at 1% stamina specifically, just because right your roster is smaller, so you need to be able to get more blood from the stone.
Burn them down.
So yeah, Grievous, CLS, and Maul.
Brings me to a real big bone of contention with ZG. Around Padawan Obi-Wan's Omicron. Those bastards turned it off when you dropped below 50% stamina. I mean, come on, guys. Like, come on. It's already an Omicron for Conquest. Let's not turn it off. Please.
It's an Omicron for Conquest that makes you kill them faster, so you earn feats slower than if you just did a dedicated strategy anyway.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's a weird dichotomy because it does make you kill them quicker. But it has the capability of addressing feats that can be irksome to some people that don't have a bigger roster. So, I found it super useful on my 2 mil account. Like, it's so good there. But
my point being, you would rather use it at low stamina because then you don't kill them. Yeah. Which means then you don't have to worry about, like, ending fights too early. It would literally be a better Omicron if it locked you to 50% stamina or lower instead of locking you above 50%. So it's like, look,
that's a great idea for an Omicron. Like, this character's stamina never drops below 90%. I would probably apply it if it was a very good unit.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills sometimes when I talk about stuff in this game because, like, when the idea of Conquest Omicrons were announced, there was a subset of players and content creators who were like, well, I have POW Omicron and I think it's great. And I'm like,
I fought against it for years.
Like,
it's been years. Yeah, 2 years.
If we're talking about TB Omicrons or Conquest Omicrons, I 100% agree. I've been saying this the whole time. I want it to be transformative. Or like, there are people who defend Sortie Omicron. Sortie, the team that, if you understand Conquest and you give her like 2 discs, what's the one thing that Sortie does at the start of the match? Woo! Everything's dead.
Blows the board up. It's fantastic to see. It's fantastic to see.
What does Sortie Omicron give you?
A revive.
What does Sortie?
I can't remember.
Yeah. When people on your squad die, they can revive.
Yeah.
So you have the character who ends fights turn 1 immediately, and the Omicron says the thing that'll never happen never happens. And there are people out here defending it. It's like, dude, Sortie Omicron is so good. Oh my god! And I'm like, how do I work with or against this? Like, how do we try to get CG to like change the product if you have people who will just consume the product no matter what?
Just give a character a Conquest Omicron that is give everybody on your team turn 1 bonus turn, and that would be enough. You wouldn't even need anything else. I'd be like, yup, I'm just going to use this character in every battle, because that gets rid of so many issues I have with certain conquest matches. It's like you said, it's like going first in a conquest match is usually what is most important. And their speeds, particularly in like Sector 5, are just absurd because of that fucking overpowered modifier that they have that gives them like 80% additional speed. So your GLs at 90% stamina don't even go first. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
I'll be honest with you. I will still kind of just, at least for me, if I'm coming from underdog mentality, the idea of a TB or Conquest Omicron is just like absolutely fucking not. Because like,
fucking not.
Well, because if you're an underdog account, you're just trying to take people on. You're probably way behind on Omicrons. That like,
yeah,
am I going to spend 20 Omicrons to do something that potentially I could already do anyway? No, I got shit to do.
It's a fair shout.
The only way I see out of that is if the Conquest Omicron offers something that you couldn't already do. So like you said, if you're a 2 mil account that you just didn't have access to tools, maybe that starts to make sense. But if you're trying to make a product more appealing to a wider range of accounts, the stuff like you said of like, okay, maybe this is this TB workhorse. So like, hey, this Conquest Omicron makes this count as any faction, or this Conquest Omicron locks their stamina to whatever you said, like 100%, 90%, cannot fall below 80% or whatever, right? Like, if it transforms how you play fundamentally, that at least creates a use case or a sales pitch that I could at least give some credit to. I would still, for my money, I'm never gonna want to apply PvE Omicrons at a game that I consider to be PvP. But
there's nothing wrong with that take. There's nothing wrong with that take. We've got people we know that only do like TB and TW armies, and people that I like. Mostly, I was always, my Omicrons are just GAC because I only care about GAC, and then I joined a TW guild, and then I started shoveling Omicrons onto all the TW armies that I'd missed over the years. Only now, when Omicron income, I feel, is pretty high now, that I'm like, I have basically all the armies that I want, and I apply all the new ones for GAC and TW, and I've still got 200 armies in the bank. I'm like, I could probably put them on stuff for PvE. I still haven't done TB ones, really.
The problem to me, I sincerely believe that TB Omicrons have actually somehow been the most destructive thing ever added to this game, because it feels like every conversation around TB boils down to, well, we have to protect people's investments. And it's like, okay, look, when Territory Battles was Light Side Genosis, and it was a meaty, difficult product, there was a use case for Omicrons, because whether or not it was like just trying to make a team viable when it was at low gear, or you're just struggling on this CM and the Omicron offers you an out, it was kind of like a raid mod, right? It was like a, hey, Jabba can work, but if you do this Battleish Omicron, maybe it enables a different team, or it enables you to undersize, or however you want to play.
Yeah.
Rise of the Empire comes out. Rise of the Empire is way easier than Light Side Geonosis. Why would I ever care about TB Omicrons now? And there are more TB Omicron defenders now than before. They're like, Finn Omi Omicron is extremely good. And I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, dude, my Finn team already wins on auto. Like, what do you have?
My Finn is still Relic 5, so he doesn't do anything in TB. I don't even take him in.
but imagine if Rise of the Empire wasn't Relic locked. Maybe Finn lead Omicron, if you're just like, okay, I'm a new account, Finn leads my boy, I need a team that can work in TB, my guild is asking me to get a team up, maybe that Omicron makes some sense for you. I would still be like, do you have to? But look, man, like, Omicrons being what they are, you can get more of them from the episode store now. I understand, like, there's still a lot of catch up that people need to do, but it is coming in faster than it used to. But right, like, the moment that Rise of the Empire required you to have certain relics to even get in, like, why do we care about TB Omicrons? Is it just like, okay, you're a new Kraken who doesn't have any mods, so you equip this Omicron to make up for it? Like, that's
the only case study that I see that makes sense, because with every single TB Omicron that's come out recently, they're attached to a new meta squad that mechanically will run over most of what TB has to offer, except for some very fringe cases where it's like, yeah, mechanically that mission's really hard to begin with. You aren't going to just take in an Omicron and get an I win button on it. There are certain ones that, sure, they make the squad perform better in a more universal approach, but if that's your best argument for the application of it, then I don't think you really need to be worrying about it. I don't think it's an important one. I do think like the early ones with Finn and Rolo were nice additions for when Lightside TB was in, or the GeoTB was there, and they were so overtuned that they really modified. It's a joke to use them in TB. You don't need it really in the first place. But everything that they've done new that's come out, it's like Gungan's already performed well enough before the Tarple zombie. Bowmana does well enough before you throw on the Paz.
Jedi Vanguard
zombie.
Mace, he's just a full auto anyway. Without the
Depa Ami is kind of ridiculous, and the Pirate Amis that they've got on Vayne, it's like, and Hu Yang, like, why did GL squads need to waste a team with an Omicron? And exactly what Fatal's point was right there is that it's literally for Krakens that do not have mods. Slap this on, your team won't suck anymore. That's the only case study I can see it being worth the application for. Otherwise, I can't see why a good account would need to throw an Omicron underneath a GL team to be able to win CMs and TB.
Yeah. That's what kills me, is it feels like it's effectively just like a noob trap at this point. It's there for people to get buyers remorse on. Or not even or not even buyers remorse. They're just going to convince themselves like, yeah, I really wasn't winning this matchup before I had this Finn Omicron. And it's like
cognitive dissonance instead. You're just like, it's fucking great. I love shit sandwiches. They're so tasty. They're good for you as well. Yeah. I don't know how we got onto TB Omicrons, but here we are. And
we just made a progressive way down the category list of things.
So next up, Galactic Challenge Omicrons, right? All one of them on Phalanx. Is it Phalanx? What were they thinking with that? Fuck me. Like... Like, that's the biggest booby trap of an Omicron ever.
Again, it's the exact same thing. It's trying to help players out in a way that's not really helping them. Like, you're trying to give players a way to achieve a mechanic, then it doesn't really do it. And then when they introduced the new episode pass system, that completely upended the purpose of its existence in the first place. I'm actually low-key surprised they didn't come back and be like, hey, except for you guys who want it for the lulz, we're going to refund this now. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't done that with the Scout Ami and just got and deleted it. Same with the Bausch
want that
Ami.
money back.
Like,
I won that Ami back. Like, that Scout Ami was such a trap. It was son of bitches.
To be fair, I applied it right before my guild disbanded. The last thing in the guild chat before I left the guild was the raid Ami.
The Scout Ami. Why? For context, Fatal, I think Karth has every Ami now.
I do.
Yes, that was the last. How did you have Phalanx before Scout? I mean, they're both shit, but
because Phalanx somehow had viability.
It was more viable than Scout, I guess.
than Scout. Scout was just like an angry application.
Just full.
Yeah, just to say that I have them. Not that it's a brag worth saying, but here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly didn't mind the Bausch Ami because the Bausch Ami, one, I put it on when it was 10 Omis, so it was a half price Ami, and two, it did quite literally transform the team for the raiding. You could all of a sudden underman the crate dragon raid with Jabba. I was like, this enables me to do something that I couldn't do before, and it was a half price Omicron. I felt like I got my value out of that, but the Scout Ami just felt like I've been kicked repeatedly in the dick for applying it. It's like, it does nothing. You still score shit. Well, no, I was still getting like just below max on that 2-man team, but it didn't feel like it did anything meaningful. I feel like I could have done it without that Ami. So, sucks to suck. That's just me. Did you do any of them, Fatal? Any of the raid Omis? Any of the two. I think it's only 2.
I mean, Bausch, I did. I was the one who theory crafted the Bausch team split for.
Did you really? Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
That is
Thank you.
actually
I appreciate
that video. That video is the reason I applied it, because I did the split on the crate raid was after that, because I was like, why would I do it if Java can solo it? And then you're like, we can split the Hut Cartel for 2 full teams of max 2.7. I'm like, fucking apply. Fuck upgrading Jawas. Fuck upgrading Jawas.
Oh, that team.
I felt like vaguely bad about it because I got fuck PvE Omicrons, but I was like, man, I don't know. This seems like content. I'll make it. Sure, fuck.
Well, I appreciate you, Fatal. Thank you. Even if I didn't remember that was you. I don't remember what I did last week, let alone like 2 years ago. So.
Oh, dude, I don't know. They're fucking don't worry. I do also have Scout Omicron.
Does it annoy you as much as it annoys me? Yeah, I fucking hate that army.
My expectations were low going in. I was just like, well, Bausch video was fun. Maybe there's something I could do with this too.
My expectations were low and I was still disappointed.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the thing that got me about the speeder bike raid. It really annoyed me that we had a lot of 2-man teams that could score really well, but most of those 2-man teams could never actually max. You'd get like 100 or 200k below the max score possible, because maxing that raid in particular was just very difficult unless you had a 3-man team. There were exceptions, obviously, like the Leia solo team was pretty much, yeah, you'll get this every time. But all the others were like, oh, the max is 2.7, you're going to get 2.55. And that used to really piss me off. I was like, I just want nice round numbers, damn it. Like, let me finish. And it never really did. Maybe it was a skill issue, but yeah, I found the raid boring in general, to be honest. It was not particularly inspired. But hey. I feel like they definitely improved it with both the Battle for Naboo. I thought thematically and graphically was a nice improvement, as well as strategically. I do feel like all the teams played differently in Battle for Naboo compared to what you had in the Speeder Bike raid, which was you've got the Leia solo and then you've got your Empire/Ewok Rebel teams that all play exactly the same. I felt like Naboo did a good job of making each team feel like this is the way you're supposed to max this. You know, like there was a strategy to each team that was slightly different. But it just took too long and it was kind of fucked. There was too much RNG. They eventually fixed it though, right? Eventually. Ish.
I guess I had a different-ish experience with Naboo where like I basically had no RNG on my runs for my mod setup, so really? I wasn't. Yeah, it was. The whole thing was consistent. The whole thing was on like 20 minutes, but I know that wasn't like indicative. It was just like, yeah, I just had things hammered out that it took longer and that wasn't great, but it was just like, get through these 9 months.
Well, that was definitely the big boost, I think, to the Order 66 raid is the runs are quick. Like, you know, win or lose, they are super quick, which is great because you can find out if your run's going to work in like the first 10 seconds, and you're like, okay, back out, go back in. Instead of like Battle for Naboo, which would be like 3 minutes, and you're like, fuck, okay, this one doesn't work. Let's try it again. Thank you, Queen Amidala Trio. Or like the Maul team versus the Crate, which you would only find out could get potentially fucked if the Crate Dragon ate your Maul on the second swallow, and then he all of a sudden stopped scoring assists. And you're like, well, now I can't fucking win. Just because you ate my Maul.
See, the problem is a lot of players just aren't interested in remodding for pretty good reason, right? The in-game modules are just not that great. That it's a fucking nightmare. Like, of course you don't want to do that. But look on my finger. Okay, sorry. My finger was being eaten. Stuff like the crate raid was actually like incredibly well made content if you were actually willing to engage with it, which of course required having something like a Hot Util subscription, which not fucking realistic to ask of anyone. But like the examples, like the thing you just described of like Maul having restart RNG. You know, it took like a week or two to figure out, but me and Skeltrix were hammering away at it and found that like, okay, if you optimize Maul enough, you can actually
still push through.
Determine, not even push through. You can beat the second eat, so that like by the time that they get the second eat out, you've already basically won the fight, and so that was made consistent. Nice. And so that's the weird thing in all this, right? Is I think some more than others, like the bike raid wasn't really for me, although, you know, other people did crack the bike raid and you could look at the results and be like, oh, you know, you could see the puzzle after the fact and kind of appreciate it. I just didn't like the bike mechanics and didn't want to think about it.
Yeah.
The raids continue to be some pretty dang good content a lot of the time. And bike raid aside, I actually tend to think that Order 66 is maybe the least puzzly in some ways, or it's at least like the least mechanical. And that's not necessarily to the
like
most
it's wave one, right? You need to solve wave one, and that's usually 90% of the problem. So how do you clear the first wave without dying or without losing a Jedi?
and even within that, it's been like less crunchy as somebody who likes mod puzzles. Like the crunchiest it gets is like, okay, is this like a durability push or is this a damage push? And like the most finesse I've been able to find so far is like, okay, if I happen to be able to have like Hunter mark on the left side dude, and then the left side dude goes and drops mark, and then I can Hondo handcuff on Oppo before he does the double mass assist. That's like a little bit finesseful. That's like, okay, clocking a certain way gives me a better result than anyone else who plays this. That like feels kind of cool, but Crate Raid was absolutely dripping in that stuff. It was just like Crate Raid had a bunch of other problems, but I still think it's the best in gameplay. So we're kind of in this weird middle ground right now where I think Order 66 does a lot of stuff well, but I'd love to see if they can bridge the gap a little bit where, you know, keep the positives of Order 66, but like go back a little bit of crunch, right? Yeah. Just like a little bit of like
there's less RNG and it's quick to do. Those I feel are winners when it comes to that raid. But generally speaking, it's not a difficult puzzle. And I don't think that there's much nuance when it comes to how different teams play. I think Bad Batch is probably, and if you try and do the clone trio, but that again is more of an RNG fuckfest around, oh, did you actually call your disguised clone trooper to assist or not? Then you know, I played this particularly well and solved the problem.
Right.
Yeah. If they could keep the good. If they could keep the good and bring back some of the other good, that would be cool. I remember personally, I just really disliked the Crate Raid, but I think that mostly stemmed from I didn't have a whole lot of good teams for the raid, and I wasn't in a place to invest in good teams, and it was running twice a week, and it felt so burnouty. You know, like every 3 days I was running Crate Raid, and I was like, for fuck's sake, again, here we go. I gotta run another 5 teams.
And here's the ongoing issue, in my opinion, with raids is you didn't have the resources to invest in teams, and even if you did, you weren't rewarded to do it. Yeah. Like, the ongoing issue with the raids, in my opinion, and it's not a major issue, it just kind of limits how much I want to or should engage with it, is you aren't rewarded for score chasing at all.
Not really, but
if you're in a guild that is struggling and you hyper overperforming can like get you to a box, sure. That's like the only case I can think of where you sweating your ass off and going all out can actually matter. Like Crate Raid was you have to like take all of Old Republic to R8, you have to take all of Mandalorians to R8. Are you out of your fucking like
yeah.
No. it was a horrible investment. And I did the math when Crate was like wrapping up. I was like, Crate Raid doesn't even pay for a single R8. And you had to invest like 10, 15, 20 R8s to like max box. It's a slight rebate. Like the days of return on investment kind of ended around that time period, right? The idea of like, oh, I'm gonna go work on SLK, and then he's gonna be my heroic Sith raid squad guy.
Yeah,
and
solo.
One,
one team.
yeah, it was just like, okay, well, this is my ROI source for SLK, and he's just gonna earn me that from now on every time the raid runs. And like those days are kind of over, and it's now just like, hey, here's a raid with the latest teams, and if you work on them for the raid, we'll give you a slight rebate. And so yeah, from that perspective, anytime there's a new raid coming out, it's this weird balance of, for me, if I'm trying to be an efficient player, just like competitive, like manage my account well and don't waste anything, I don't care about max scores. I care about, okay, what's the average that we need for max guild box, and what's the cheapest way that I can earn that score target. And then that to me is the raid. That's like what you solve for, is what's the absolute bare minimum that I can invest for what my guild will ask of me, and then you just walk away.
Mil or whatever it is.
10.6, 11, and then you just walk away.
Yeah, that's definitely the most efficient way to go about doing it. 100%. Definitely. So, you know, you could do just, for example, in this one, Tarkin Scorch for a 2 R9. R9 is still pretty heavy investment, don't get me wrong. But that will get you a 3.6, you know? Like, that's a third of what you need. Maybe a little bit under, you know, of what you need for your whole raid score, and you can shore up the rest with more relatively easy investments. Yeah, I get that. They don't really... There's not, like, some uncapped potential for raids to keep on giving more rewards. I mean, even, like, there's... the max guild box, there's no additional guild boxes that you can keep on getting. There's no rewards. You know, what is it, 500 and something million for max box? There's nothing that you get if you...
But
yeah, there's nothing if you get for every 10 million over the cap, you get additional rewards. Even if it's something small, you know, there's none of that. The personal reward box caps out at 12.15 million. And even then, all you're getting is a marginal amount of Mark III currency, right? They don't really say, yeah, and you can score 18 million, but the rewards stop at 12.15. It's a little bit weird, right? It's a little bit like, you don't need to. You don't even get a bloody title this time. You got it for the last raid, didn't you? If you scored max, there was the OK Boomer title for the max box. You don't even get a title now. It's just... I
wonder if R10 is going to come to raid rewards.
I mean, I'd be happy because I can basically max box the raid.
This is the only thing that I'm confused when it comes to R10 is they talked about a new single data being used for it, but they didn't mention anything else about if there's a new map component to it, which you'd almost assume that there would be, because that's what everything else has done so far. Every new tier beyond Relic 7 has been added with a new map to add to the mix, but they never said anything about it, at least not that I can recall. So I'm curious if it's just going to be that new single data and they're going to hide that under some new event or make it more challenging to get your hands on, and then just make us double dip and throw more droid brains and Gerda keypads at the wall.
They expanded the raid to have like the R9 tier worth 3.6 million, but like, if you have like a Mace squad that can win at R9, a Tarkin squad that can win at R9, a Honda squad that can win at R9, I'm blanking on the squads that exist, but like a Force squad that can 3.6.
Keller and Beck.
Yeah, like anything, right?
Yeah.
If you put up 4 3.6s, and if your whole guild is capable of doing that, your guild box is going to be 200 million higher than the maximum they ask of you, right? The game has just kind of scaled past the reward threshold. So it's like, A, why the fuck would you even bother? B, it seems crazy to me that CG wouldn't at least try to incentivize you to want to try to get to that point.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them putting it there for that purpose, is to make it so that people who are getting to that 14 4 average are getting a little bit more R9 reimbursement. I mean, but do you at that junction just hand out flat like 5, whatever the heck circuit boards they want to throw at us on this next pass, for achieving that box, because I mean you couldn't put it in the store. That would nullify the whole point of getting to that box in the first place.
Whalixium is what they'll call it. Whalixium boards. Shark fin boards. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Because we've received precious little information about how Relic 10 is going to be involved. Only that certain materials, or new signal data at least, will be available through the scavenger, and they've said other sources, which is incredibly vague, right? What's other sources? That could be anything. That could be new assault battles. That could be just, hey, give us some money. And I can imagine there's bound to be the, hey, give us some money angle as well. Who knows?
They also need to scale down relic pack pricing if they're going to more aggressively introduce new ones, because
they can't just release a $200 pack for R10.
Well, but what is it going to like that? The thing that bringing this whole thing back into the scope of Relic Delta, it's like if an R10 team can still get easily countered by R9, what's the rush?
Yeah,
like unless there is a requirement or an expansion of a game mode that needs it, like you can bet your bottom dollar at some point the era battles around GLs when we get back to doing era battles, you know, they're going to be like, well, if you take, you know, Grand Admiral Thrawn to Relic 10, now we'll give you 5,000 crystals for completing this on Sim, you know, and so it's like they'll do something like that, but I mean, I can't imagine that there's going to be a massive push to invest into it if it doesn't move things meaningfully, in addition to existing. And I think that's part of the problem with them being as stalled out as they have been with the meta. It's been so easy for everyone to catch, not easy, but it's been easier for people to pull up the bottom of their rosters to be more competitive. So you're dealing with a lot more R5 to R7 play than you would have if we hadn't been on R9 for 2.5 years. Or for actually it's 4 years. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's been a fat second.
It's been a long time. But I don't want to derail the discussion, but I'm going to. We've been going for an hour and a half, so I think we need to address the questions. Otherwise, the Tribe Talks questions. Otherwise, we're going to overrun, and I don't want to do that. So this is the segment where we answer your questions that are submitted through my Discord on the Tribe Talks questions section. So first up, we've got Hitter, and I have to be very careful not to accidentally pronounce his name. Do you think they fix AI of Pirate King Hondo on defense, he asks. Also, do you think if Pirate King Hondo's team gained Lightning Raid for one turn every time he hit ult, that would balance him out a bit better with other GLs? I'm not sure. Did we answer this last time? No, we didn't, because this is a week ago. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think we've talked about this previously.
Well, I think once you dropped the previous Datacron set with the mounds of defense and
bonus protection,
stats, I don't think we're running into the same problems, but I haven't been fighting too many Pirate Hondos because I am the only one in my shard with one, and I've finally gotten to my first one in GAC on defense, so I don't have
fought it once on defense
for the AI.
Yeah. What's your feelings, Vale?
I was gonna say it. You seem to think that Hondo's bad. I don't. Give it time. Give it time and let people understand which units are good and which units are bad. Let people figure out that, like, Vayne seems like a pretty important character to have bulky.
Yeah, man. No.
Dude, the fact that
King Hondo is like the best GL release we've had in a good long time, ever since like TW Ahsoka and then before that.
With Hondo, like I can with the Boltkron gone essentially, I have been able to kill JMK in arena before Kat gets to her leap.
Yeah, just like Lightning Raid, Mass Assist, JMK. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah,
and like hey.
Now on defense, I don't know what he's doing stupid on defense.
I think he's just not using the Mass Assist turn one. He's using Special 1 to do that.
Oh,
and
increase
people
mastery. Yeah.
Increase mastery, not doing the mass assist whilst he's got the taunt evade and stuff like that. I don't know if that's the that's the all encompassing, but I also don't think it's that massive of a deal now. It's like
CG was correct to not make him not do the double master in one. Like, do you really expect me to believe that players would be okay with the AI hitting them with like 11 consecutive turns before they get to play the video game and just watching their teams get mowed?
Especially when he is a unit that you're not going to outpace if they've modded him correctly. He is the fastest GL base speed, right? Or at least second fastest. So
I think he's fastest.
Yeah,
He's
I think
fastest.
So it's like
flat.
that's that alone, and the 75% turn meter gains for the whole team, and a double mass assist that's pretty obnoxious if they were to do that turn one.
Here's what I'll say: Pirate King Hondo gives you back what you put into him, and to that degree as well. While of course it would be better if he did the everybody takes free turns and does double mass assist, I don't think it can be overstated just how scrappy and dishonest this GL squad is. GLs are normally like disproportionately nice to you. Most GLs in the game let you do your game plan to them, right? They tend to be very passive on the start. You compare that to like non-GL squads tend to be hyper aggressive to make up for the fact that they don't have a GL. Okay, here's your first two experiences fighting a properly built Pirate King Hondo. Pirate King Hondo increases your cooldowns on somebody. OG Hondo puts somebody in handcuffs, right? Like some of the most dominant squads in the recent meta memory of like Great Mothers and that whole sort of thing. This is the first matchup that Great Mothers has run into where that's kind of like a record scratch. Oh fuck, right? that like they're used to just like having their way BK style, and it's like, no man, like your Morgan's in handcuffs, your Great Mother doesn't have her dispel.
Yeah,
fucking good luck. And also like, yeah, we may not do the double mass assist turn one, but we're sure as shit coming turn two. If you're having trouble with your Hondo squad, I've done my best to avoid saying it too much, but please look at the defense mods. Pop quiz fun fact. So if a character has 55% armor and that same character has 80% armor, how much more durable do you think that character is?
Oh god, I have no idea. But it's going to be something obnoxious, like 3 times more durable, not 30% more durable.
Yeah, it's the effective health modifier that people don't think about. Not modifier, but calculation. I can't tell you what the numbers are off the top of my head, though.
So I didn't know this until a few weeks ago, actually. That calculation, it's way easier than I thought. I always just assumed it was nightmare fuel. Okay, here's how this is. Okay, if a character has 50% armor, you divide by 0.5, right? If you're used to doing turn meter math, right? Where it's like you gain 60% turn meter, you divide by 0.4. Same thing. You divide by the remainder of your armor. So a character has 50% armor, you have double effective bulk.
Yeah.
A character has 80% armor, you have 5 times effective bulk.
Yeah.
So
it's 20%, right? Essentially would be the differential there. So you take
you divide by 0.2.
Yeah.
So you're effectively 5xing it. So when Pirate King Hondo comes out and I see people saying, he sucks. Here's a clip of Hondo getting one shot by Drogon. Oh my god. I look at him just like, yeah, man, you how did you build your Hondo? Oh, you gave him some health. That's cool. How's his defense? Like, right? This is a team that scales disproportionately well with durability, right? This team is belligerent. It's dishonest. It's annoying to kill. Vayne is a bastard.
Just keeps on coming back. Vayne is a real pain in the ass. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this. I didn't know this, but I tested it. It seems to be true. Did you know defense doesn't work above 90%, or it's capped? And the best you could do is you could overflow it.
I didn't know that, but I also haven't seen a unit with over 90% defense.
I mean,
you have
defense cron.
Sorry, that's different though, isn't it? Because that's a decrease. Are you talking armor now? Fatal, right?
I'm talking. You open up the character sheet and you see like a character has 90%. If you see a character has 93%, if they just have like some insane defense datacron, it doesn't do 93%. It's capped at 90.
Yeah,
and you have seen that now, because if you look at a character like Vayne's basic, every time that he does an assist or a basic attack, that man can gain as high as like 1,000 armor per basic easily.
Holy crap.
Right? So like, this is a character for whom we're getting comical amounts of defense, but that 90% cap exists. So like,
yeah,
Vayne is just a demon. Like, we have never seen the likes of a character like this. If you have the ability to do so, I highly recommend taking him to R9. It seems like a pretty good thing to be doing.
Yeah, mine's at R8, but you know, things can change. Things can change. Okay, cool. We spent enough on that one. We have a 3-parter from TNNR. He says, it's a 3-parter, let me just read. We have close to 300,000 people playing the game right now. If the next year marquee unlock numbers are going to be closer to 200k than 300k after the Relic Delta release, is that enough evidence for CG to realize the mistake they made with Relic Delta? Jesus.
This question. Yeah, I read this one earlier.
There's a lot to unpack there, TNR. One, numbers are decreasing slowly anyway. How can we correlate that directly? You would see an immediate drop-off rather than a gradual drop-off in a year, unless he just means the next set of marquees. And it's making the assumption that we are seeing what is essentially a 33% drop in active players. Is it going to make them change their minds? Probably not, in my opinion. They seem pretty set on it. I think it would have to be something pretty extreme. Thoughts, gents?
At the end of the day, it has to be a question of money, right?
Yeah.
If the changes look to be losing that money, then they would probably reconsider. If it looks to be that same, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is too is we have too many unknowns on the other end of the stick too. We know there's new game modes coming. We know R10's coming. We know there's things that they have on the agenda that might either bring back interest, smooth out the Relic Delta problem to where it's palatable, and then something else occurs. But I mean, like, you know, we had somebody in your Discord a while ago that was like, hey, look, Galaxy of Heroes was at 4.3 million downloads in May. And then it was like, and then by October at 2.7 million logins for the month of October. And it's just like, look how many players we've lost. I'm like, you know how many people get around May the 4th and they're just like, get me something Star Wars for like a week, and then they leave it alone. Like,
well, I think the sentiment they came in was after the Pirate era and they announced Relic Delta, the player base dropped by 50%.
Yeah.
But year on year, we're up like 100,000 players.
Yeah.
The 50% drop off is those that joined during May the 4th, joined during the Revenge of the Sith era, because they're like, oh, Dark Side clones. Load of players came back to the game. After a month or two, they were just like, okay, yeah, I'm fucking done now. I've scratched that itch. And now our player base has normalized. It wasn't a drop off. It was just, it's going back to normal, but still up on active players year on year, which is a more meaningful metric. So yeah, it's kind of funky, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna. I think they'll find a way to keep this working. I think that's why they're going with this approach versus half a dozen solutions that they talked about. But we'll just need to work on numbers.
So part 2 of the question is, CG is stalling the Relic Delta update, not because of testing. They're stalling to make people accept it, and it's kind of working. No, TNR. No, it's not stalled. They have extended the testing period, but Relic Delta wasn't releasing right away. So that's just a misunderstanding of the position. People are so desperate for a Star Wars game that they'll generally endure anything at this point, which is sad. How much more can CG... That's not really a question, dude. You're saying CG's treating us like shit. When do we give up? I get it. We have to hold CG accountable. When CG does stupid shit, it's our prerogative as players that play this game, that enjoy this game, as Star Wars fans, to be like, don't be a dick, right? Yeah, don't be a dick, CG. Treat the player base with some respect. But that's... I think we're getting just a little bit more soapboxy right now. You're standing on your soapbox and you're proclaiming to to the people in the streets? I'm not sure if that's a question or if it's a statement.
The grass is not green at all on the other side. Like I said, I came to Galaxy Heroes 3 years after it came out. I tried it at launch. I was like, damn, this game's kind of ass. You want to know why I came back to Galaxy Heroes? Actually, is because I was playing games like Clash of Clans or Clash Royale or Gachas or whatever the hell. And you know what brought me back? Is because the one thing I do remember from this game is anything you want, you are guaranteed to get within a period of time.
Yeah.
Look, man, the mobile market is fucked. And like at the end of the day, if your takeaway is, man, fuck mobile gaming, you could have that conclusion. There's probably some truth in that. The reason why I stayed with Galaxy Heroes, I don't give a shit about it being Star Wars. Like, yeah, I'm kind of a Star Wars fan, but like, do you know how many bad Star Wars mobile games that I've played that I put down immediately? I play Galaxy Heroes because I think the monetization is a lot better than the alternatives, and I still think that's roughly true, even with Relic Delta. And B, I'm here because the kits are cool. The kits are like super well done. And so like, I'm sure there are still bad Star Wars games. I don't know if that like Clash of Clans copy Star Wars games still exists or whatever. Like, put it to the test, man. Go out there and try what else is out there. There's a pretty decent chance that if you're still interested in mobile games by the end of it, you're gonna run back screaming because it'll be like, holy shit. Like,
I can definitely level with that. I have, by virtue of being a content creator, and I have done sponsorships in the past for other mobile games because they see my channel and they're like, you cover mobile games, we would like you to advertise our mobile game, and there is a period of time in which I have to play it. CG's monetization is very light compared to what exists in the market. Like, there is some incredibly egregious and demonic monetization. Like, it's like Fatal says, you can unlock anything with time. That's not necessarily true of every game in the market. And the pace you're talking about, there are programs that exist for mobile games on the market where the developers will have direct contact with what is essentially whales, provided you spend a certain arbitrary amount of money each month. So if you spend over $1,000 a month, you've got a direct line of contact to the devs, and they will listen to your feedback, and they will talk to you, and they will give you perks essentially to the game. That doesn't exist in Galaxy of Heroes. There's nobody that is obligated to spend $1,000 a month on these games, but those exist out there. They do. It's pretty light in terms of monetization. Like, obviously, the numbers are still crazy to people outside of the world. Thinking that you can spend £100, $150 every 2 weeks on brand new marquees, that's a hell of a lot of money. That's a hell of a lot of money. I'm not denying that. It's just not as bad as other way. So, yeah. Because, Karth, you've only spent a couple of pennies, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Like,
a minute of play.
The funny thing to me is, I still keep up with some areas, and like, it seems like Galaxy of Heroes, with like the daily quest system and battle pass and all that stuff, is like trying to shift towards kind of like a Marvel Snap style model. Let me tell you, Marvel Snap doing pretty poorly right now. You know what model Marvel Snap is trying to shift towards to like get some goodwill back and like stabilize? They're trying to switch towards the Galaxy of Heroes model. Like,
oh, really?
I shit you not. And everyone in the Marvel Snap community is like, this seems
pretty
like
good.
this doesn't seem too bad. It's just, look, man, at the end of the day, no matter where you go, companies are trying to take your money. And how they try to do it and whether or not that's tolerable to you and whether or not they step too far is down to the situation. But like, if you're like, man, fuck Galaxy Heroes, I'm going to Marvel Strike Force, I can tell you right now, the Relic Delta number is there. For Relic Delta 1, it's 50% damage taken and given. Or like more taken, less given, I think, from what I heard. And also, let me tell you, Marvel Strike Force, again, like I played Marvel Snap a few years ago. I'm not really a comic book reader, but the Marvel Snap cards were cool enough that I was like,
I played it for it was addictive. Yeah.
Well, like, I knew from Marvel Snap kind of some of the flavor that certain characters are picking up, and I was like, it just a random shower thought one night. I was like, I'm kind of curious on what Marvel Strike Force did with, those characters in this genre and what kind of kits they made.
Mm-hmm.
I read a good 40 of the kits. That game is just trapped in 2016, 2017 Galaxy of Heroes. It's like a Bizarro Universe Galaxy of Heroes where CG never actually started working on kit design. And so every team just seems like a Clone Wars Chewbacca or
really?
that Arrow squad just ramming numbers into each other. And so it's not even you throw a system like Relic Delta into an environment like that where there's no Zori Terminator train, there's no Malicos making your team crit immune and all that. It literally just looks like characters ramming numbers at each other and this character makes crit damage up and crit chance up and does an AoE.
So there's no nuance to the kits. It's just more damage numbers.
Marvel Strike Force is the game that people wish, when people see a long kit and they're like, man, remember when every character was TIE Fighter Pilot? Yeah, Marvel Strike Force exists over there. Every character is TIE Fighter Pilot. And so in order to try to make new content appealing, they have to jack the numbers up instead. That's the...
It's just power creep.
Yeah, literally, right? If you don't... I don't necessarily always love the factionalization, but that's why factionalization has stretched this game out for so long successfully. Is because they can power creep without having to worry about how it hits everything else. That
Yeah,
okay. I don't know. We strayed a lot, but grass isn't always greener. Mobile gaming itself is kind of fucked.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So the final part is: can you tell us anything about something good coming to the game at any point, or your involvement with CG recently that didn't give you anything other than RD testing? The playtest program is exclusively around Relic Delta. We don't get to know. Look, they've told the community wider that there are new game modes coming.
Hey,
listen, what you talk to Meathead in your private DMs is between you and Meathead.
No. I'm telling you, something good that's coming is Relic Delta.
just wail harder. Yeah, no. So unfortunately, it's not a carte blanche. You get to talk about. We'll talk to you about everything that's coming in Galaxy of Heroes, and you can be completely transparent about everything that's coming in the future. The playtest is for Relic Delta.
It's not a PBR or PTR sort of deal. We're not playing on a future build of the game. We are playing. Technically on an older build of the game where the new ships don't exist there, right?
Hondo wasn't there,
basically,
right? So.
Yeah. Basically, imagine the game a month ago, and then what if the Relic Delta existed in that scenario? Is basically how we're playing.
The only thing I would say is that this, and I've said this before, is the playtest invites the opportunity to maybe have something a little bit more like what Fate was saying, a PTR, a private test environment, essentially for future content. If this works well and lands well, maybe we'll have an opportunity where not only we can talk about future releases, future characters, but we can actually show that, which we can't do currently. We're not allowed to show any video footage because it is test footage, right? They don't want to have that out in the open, but if this goes well, eventually maybe we'll get to a point where that's going to be a reality. So when it comes to future good stuff coming, that is the future good stuff, as far as I'm concerned, is if we get to have early sneak peeks in the future about what's coming. We know a new game mode's coming. Maybe we'll be able to go, hey, look, guys, this is what's coming in 2 months' time. There's this new game mode. This is everything you need to know. This is how you can prepare, and that would be good. But unfortunately, we don't get to snoop over their shoulders as they're working on the new content. That's not how this works, unfortunately.
When the old beta program died, the amount of bugs that teams shipped was skyrocketed.
Oh, really? I wasn't part of the old beta, so I didn't get to peek behind that particular curtain.
I wasn't a part of it, but I was privy to some of the disasters that got prevented. Once the program died, I heard rants from now retired members of how much shit that they had helped prevent that was now going to become a problem.
Yeah,
because certain bad actors acted badly.
See, that's the thing, right? People think that they're, doing something good and they end up fucking it for everybody. Well, there we go.
Like Scribe said, there has been good news announced that we're just not a part of. So one thing related to Relic Delta that will be good, I think, for people is certain counters are actually going to become easier as a function of Relic Delta. Particularly if you tend to lean into them. Night Sisters versus Jabba.
Yep.
Very, very happy that Relic Delta exists. If you have a Marin that you are willing to push up in relics.
Hey, as a man with R3 Night Sisters, but an R9 Marin, I'm pretty happy.
Dude, oh my god. So this whole time too, like the last week or two, I was like rolling over in my mind. It was like, okay, this all sounds extremely good, but I guess the one thing that I'm like thinking about is like, well, but what if like a Boba AoE goes off? And someone in my chat pointed out, like, you're thinking of Django. Boba doesn't block or vibes on it, his AoE. I was just like, okay, holy fuck, it's real. Like,
we're on. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm super excited to try that.
I am now actually kind of sad that my
you've got like an R8 DACA or something.
Oh, I don't even use DACA. I 3v5, but my Asajj is like R8.
See, okay. Yeah, mine's R3 or R5. I can't remember.
The one thing I will say, honestly, maybe I should just test it instead of just spitballing. If it's a sufficiently bulky Jabba, actually, fuck. Sorry, there's so many moving parts right now. I've been doing Night Sister versus Jabba ever since Jabba got released. There is like new discoveries I'm making in the last like 2 to 4 weeks that actually like might change things a lot. So I'll say them in order. The first thing I was going to say is Relic Delta helps you get to your win condition faster, but if the Jabba is sufficiently tanky, you might have to worry about a timeout there, right? Because for those who don't know, Night Sister versus Jabba is consistent when you build correctly. Maybe you tank some win rate sometimes if the AI just like only shoots at your Marin for like, however, like it scales with how good your Marin is, right? If you're willing to take your Marin to R9 or R8 or R7, that's going to help you a lot more than R3 to R5. If you're willing to farm mods with good tenacity, defense, protection, that's going to earn you more hits than whatever you might be working with. But to that degree, Relic Delta makes it easier to get to Marin last standing consistently, to get you to win consistently. Tanky Jabba, right now, for how things have existed for years, I would say Tanky Jabba might be a little bit scary. Might cause you some timeouts. Came to a realization the last few weeks. I think we can jack up Asajj damage consistently if we play this right. Sorry, I'm not going to try to burn too much time on this.
Okay. No, I'm interested.
Usually, you get to Marin last standing, auto basic, like try to make sure that nobody revives, and like you're good, right? You just build up a bunch of plague, do the second special to let them out. Plague kills them all. Auto basic gets ult percent goes back. Second special to let them out, and then you just auto basic to finish. So if we can get to Marin and Asajj alive, Talzin dead. Sorry, I guess I play 3v5, so maybe people have DACA or whatever lying around. But if you build it right, you don't need DACA. But if we can get to Asajj Marin alive, we can build up the Asajj damage by calling Marin Assist. And it's not going to go infinite, but you don't need it to go infinite. You just need it to be good enough, because you're immune to ult either way. It doesn't matter if Jabba gets to ult or whatever. You're building up some power, right? And especially if you're a low relic player, that matters, especially if we're talking Relic Delta. The thing I was always worried about is, well, shit. You use Marin Revive, you hit Talzin instead of Asajj. If you build Talzin correctly, Talzin dies to Jabba deaths, but it was like, okay, well, you're flipping a coin over and over and hoping that you come up Asajj. What if you just keep on coming up Talzin and you run out of time? The thing I realized, hit the revive. If you hit Talzin, hit revive again before Talzin dies to deaths. You get Asajj back. Asajj doesn't have deaths. Talzin has deaths, and that gets you to that win state where you can just
Yeah,
feed up Asajj. That might be a way around Relic Delta. Sorry, that was a huge tangent, but like that's hot off the presses news sauce that I think that counter. Right, so we're getting better with Relic Delta, and there's tech to get around the downside.
Yeah, in certain situations, yeah, 100%. So yeah, there are some plus sides. Okay, cool. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I'll look forward to the video, Fatal. So Bubba Joe asks, greetings, Scribe and friends. My question of the week is simple. Are you pro tease like we got for the Stranger, or would you rather just find out what we're getting at the kit reveal? Because CG has taken this stance recently, sort of like there's no mystery anymore about where we're going and what we're getting. It's just kind of like, here's the whole era. You kind of know what's coming. What's your thoughts, gents?
Look, man, I'm an impatient little shit, but yeah, like the era system is kind of just the big day now. Like, hey, here's the era, here's what's coming, and then like, because I assume they're talking about the image that we got on Friday. It's like would I prefer that to be a kit reveal? Sure, but the kit reveal is coming on Tuesday. We know it's coming on Tuesday. Yeah, I think the image is harmless. Like,
if they do it for Conquest units, I don't care. It's fine. Do the little tease. We get the kit the next time. It's fine. Just don't try to drag out everything else, because like everything else is pretty well known. Conquest units are the only kind of like, we kind of hide that a little bit closer until we're ready to release it, and then that's it. So I mean, if you want to put a little extra into it to kind of drive up the hype around the next Conquest unit that's coming out, fine. I'm cool with that. I don't care.
Like, yeah, I prefer the kit, but if the kit's not gonna happen, like, yeah. I think it's harmless.
I can't play the character for the next 10 weeks.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
I do not.
Have they stopped giving that? Because they used to give us a consumable in Conquest that lets you use the unit. Have they stopped doing that? I think they have, haven't they?
No, I think you have one from. There might be one from. No, I think Maz is the enemy. We don't actually get to.
Yeah. And granted, I quite liked having Maz as the enemy. It was kind of cool. But it was also kind of cool when I think we had it for Darkside Ray. There was a consumable, and we had like 3 of them or 5 of them. And like, you get to use Darkside Ray. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I wish, they should do that more. I don't really care if, we get a little teaser before we get the kit reveal. I preferred it when we used to occasionally get those puzzles about big releases. And now we just have the new era coming stage, right? Like Faye was talking about. New era starts and like, here's what we're getting for the next, 2 months, 3 months. It's I'm neither for nor against.
I'm with him, man. The real villain here is Conquest taking so long to unlock characters. I don't want to read a kit and then be like, all right, man, come back in 3 months.
Yeah, like, that does kind of suck. Yeah. So next question then, Bubba Joe, same guy as before. There has been a lot of talk about strategy going the way of the dodo after Relic Delta, and hard counters and soft counters are going to be eliminated, a position I don't think will be true, by the way. Can you give examples of what is a hard counter and what is a soft counter? Because it's not obvious from looking at swigger.gg. Who wants to lead with this one? I think that I'll lead with the opening statement of people talk about, strategy, and they talk about mods, and they talk about datacrons no longer mattering because all you need is an R9 cup, and that's going to apparently stonewall everything below. That's not true, like at all. Strategy still matters, modding still matters, datacrons still matter. It's just how much they matter and where they matter has moved. That's all. Like it's become more important to be within a 2 Relic Delta to make that matter. But you can't all of a sudden just have, I've got an R9 team of Ewoks. They're R9 now, so I can go and take out an R9 team of GLs. That's still going to lose. You still need to have proper counters. You still need to know the strategy, and you need to know the modding. And if you're going below Relic Delta, and you've got a hard counter or a soft counter, and you're not modded correctly, and you don't have a datacron, you're going to fucking lose again. So strategy is not gone at all. It's just kind of moving the goalposts a little bit. Anybody want to chime in?
The line between hard and soft to me is it comes down to intentionality and whether or not it's like, okay, Team A preys on teams that do X, and so naturally they typically beat Team B because, right? It's like Bo-Katan versus Lord Vader. Okay, Bo-Katan has a game plan that relies on getting debuffed. She was pretty much made to counter Lord Vader, who gets her like perfectly to 100 ancestral stacks immediately. Or like, you think of like Dark Trooper Moff Gideon isn't really a focus for this test just because he's not used too often, but like is an easy example of a hard counter because what does he do? If you're a team that has a turn meter train, he takes away turn meter and removes your offensive defense for it and blah blah blah, right? Like
he's a monster in TW with the Omicrons though. He's scary there.
Yeah, but like the hard versus soft, like soft I would say is more so just like a matchup that tends to be winnable. Just by virtue of like whether it's relative power level or just the dynamics of the matchup. Now that doesn't mean that every team falls into it. Like I would argue Treya with her Omicrons is just like, I don't think that's hard or soft. I think just team good. Team has team very good. Strong Omicrons that tend to do well in a lot of cases that you put them in. Like that's just how that's gonna go. Like a soft counter example I would give is like Malgus versus Great Mothers, or matchups along those lines. And so like, I mean, I could just fire up some of my test results for Relic Delta 3 from the last test. Is like Trey versus Gungans, consistent. Waba versus Grievous. Not like I put down slight RNG because I almost died once, but I never actually lost a test in that. So like, still call it consistent. Bo-Katan versus Gungans, consistent. Malgus versus Great Mothers, consistent. Malgus versus Great Mothers with Marin, impossible. CLS versus Gas, consistent. Bane versus Queen Amidala is like pretty consistent, maybe a slight win rate risk if they just happen to mow down Bane, but I think for well-built Queen Amidala teams that was already kind of on the table anyway.
Yeah.
Phoenix versus Gungans. This is admittedly something I'd never actually played before, and it was pretty consistent to me, but it seemed like it could have been a timeout risk, like maybe or something like that. That matchup just seemed fuck. I was like, why do people play this? It wasn't even like bad for Relic Delta. It was just like I'm out here. Everything I had to do was like, okay, how do I get to play the video game again? Okay, everyone has frustration. Like, how do I get this back off? And that shit was a nightmare. People who play that matchup need a straight jacket, I think. But I never lost it. I was able to win it consistently. So like, if you're wearing grippy shoes, I think you're okay. Yeah. Right. Like, so in that vein, like, I didn't necessarily sweat so much about like, well, is this a hard or is this a soft? Unless it failed, and then I would like, contemplate it. I was just like, okay, let's look at the play rate and like focus on the counters that have the highest play rate. Yeah. And just went from there.
If you want like this is not strictly true, and this is incredibly broad and generalization, but in my opinion, if you can just hit auto, that's pretty much a hard counter. Like if you can go in and just go auto and you win, yeah, you got it. Yeah. That's not strictly true for all counters because there's some nuance to certain things. Some things can be hard counters if you have your hands on the wheel, right? And if you can lose the counter due to some RNG or not playing it properly, I would call that a soft counter. Yeah, we can get into the weeds about it, but
the short is in a lot of stuff like Fatal's mentioned, and even in some of my testing, is that I think players would still be surprised at what still performs in RD4. But at the same time, I think the fear for players is that they're going to have this massive upheaval of their account. They're going to need every character on their account is going to need a +2 or 3 increase in relics, and that's just not feasible for them. How will they ever surmount this resource drain with the improvement? But it's just like, for the most part, if you are bringing things up to be viable in most game modes or just unlocking things, because most things unlock somewhere between relic 5 and 7 9. For a lot of the GL chases. It's not that big of a deal because you can, like, I have found for a lot of the teams that are built on hard counters, or if you could abuse the AI, it's the team still performs. Leia will still do well with Adred Jin, provided that Jin can take her turn fast enough to give R2 the turn to stealth everybody. Yeah. And then usually, even if you're at a disadvantage, once Leia gets enough ramped on her output, she will just win. Same for taking Spectre into like to Jabba or JMK. The ramping offense the team gets from the constant protection ups that the opposing teams gets will ramp them enough to offset that differential. I mean, I can literally fire up it right now, take a Relic 5 Spectre team against a Relic 9 Jabba team and press auto. It will win eventually. And so there are teams that still function at those disparities, but there are things that CG cannot, unless they just straight up put hey, if you're more than RD4, you just can't go into battle. They're not going to stop them. And so
they just set your health to 1. They're like, yeah.
Well, precisely. And so that's kind of, I think a lot of people get a little worked up on that part of things too. But I think, again, Fatal was just rattling off with the Night Sisters. There will be ways to abuse this system in your favor. And there will be ways to take advantage of it. And there will be ways to strategize and to do things differently. It's unfortunately one of those moments in this game where, it's like one of those etch-a-sketches that you have, right? And you've done a very beautiful picture, and then you get bumped. It's not ruined, but it's definitely not the same. And that's kind of where we're headed with Relic Delta, is that the game still exists. The counters are still going to be there. There just might be a little bit more nuance to certain things, and there might be some new advantages that players are able to take advantage of when it does come into play.
Yeah. So the follow-up question here from Boba Joe is, if hard counters are Relic independent currently, why are they not effective at Gear 5 and Gear 6 against all Relic teams? Is it because they just need higher stats to be effective, so they won't be as effective just at a different minimum Relic level after Relic Delta? Well, so won't they be just as effective? I mean, that is kind of the point. I think, the reason you don't win at Gear 5 and Gear 6 is gearing introduces a lot of base stats. In particular, introduces a lot of stats around speed. Not necessarily at Gear 5 and Gear 6, but the higher up you go, you actually get a lot more base speed, and a lot of counters are predicated on actually being able to take turns. And the difference in what you can do with mods below Gear 12 and above Gear 12 are huge. The levels of bulk that you get below Gear 12 and above Gear 12 are huge. So could they have just adjusted all of the Relic stats? Yes, but in their own words, it doesn't address the scalability because of the way that stats work at Relic levels. So this is their solution.
Yep. I'm good with that answer.
It might be wrong. I might be rambling, but I feel like it's somewhere I might be in the ballpark. Fatal, I might be completely wrong. You tell me.
I entirely understood the question, but basically it's just that CG wants to. There are certain teams that are just kind of content to park at Relic 3 or Relic 5 or whatever, and can still largely just scale up. They're just trying to slightly lift. It's not take those teams to R9. You fuck. It's like, okay, take them to maybe R6 or R7. Mm-hmm. I don't remember which number I exactly said because I'm kind of scrambled right now, but I think I kept on saying over the last few weeks is R6 is the new R5 or R7 is the new R6 or whatever, depending on the squad in question and average enemy investment. But yeah, more or less just think of Relic Delta as slightly increasing the floor on some squads that you would normally just well, this team's so broken that I'm going to leave them at R5 because I don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
To be perfect, I haven't tested RD4 Treya, but Treya seems fine, man. The only exception to that maybe is Gungans have Gungans on defense
outdamage you. I think it's just a survivability question. If maybe that's exacerbated currently by that datacron that Gungans have got with the 100% additional damage output. That's gone now, isn't it? It was there, but you could just straight up lose Treya if you've got low relic Treya.
in all of my testing at RD5 with Treya versus Gungans, it was does the death mark land, and then does Jar Jar call that mass assist into Treya on his next turn?
That's what I was going to say. Is I think Relic Delta makes the Gungan RNG like sharper.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, like if you're worried about like Tarpal's AoE damage or whatever, like mods and crons can contest that if you're able and willing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Bubba Joe. Next question comes from Maximus242. Question: when will CG return to the biggest moneymaker era, the Old Republic?
Tomorrow is my hope. I know it's not true.
It's not true. We know what's coming. We're currently in the era of fucking random shit go burr. Who knows what's coming next year? I don't know. Max, I wish I knew. But it feels like that would be print money.
I mean, the next time they do Old Republic would be Exile, right? And I don't imagine they would do Exile unless it was like, well, I guess maybe it could just be like a normal era, but I was going to say like maybe some GL related thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would love to have KOTOR 2 stuff kind of come out. And even I would take some more stuff from SWTOR as just kind of general lifters. I would take like a Satil Shan Conquest unit and maybe a couple other new things to bring in with that or whatever. I don't really care. But I mean, I've been on that for forever, as I would love to quit following the media releases for this game and go back to a little bit more creative scope on bringing in stuff from Legends or even or games and stuff like that too, because I feel like that's just stuff that people vibe with a lot more than just following whatever media has been released in the last year.
The thing I would point to as I think what works well as like a good compass for this game is think about releases in terms of like the most potential for sauce, right? Like the thing I would point to is a perfect example of this. So when people saw Darkrai was coming, reaction wasn't really happy, was it?
No.
At
But
least
then they saw how she played. Like she's fucking.
But then they saw how she played. They saw that CG was cooking with their ideas, and they were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if a character has a cool potential for a kit, I want to see them in the game, regardless of whether it's a recent release or not. Like Chimere.
Oh yeah.
Acolyte was a show that had a lot of issues.
It was a show. I will admit that much. Yeah.
Chimere. I can't say he carried the show because the show had issues. The moment that I saw that character, I was like, this motherfucker needs to be a Galaxy of Heroes yesterday. Like the moment that you see his first fight scene, right? Like,
yeah,
that shit was
if they were going to bring anyone, to be fair, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I was my name in the event server was Chimere for Conquest Forever because I figured that was the perfect way to do it. They're not going to do a whole Acolyte era, so you do a throwaway standoff Conquest character. You don't have to commit to other Acolyte characters. You just here's this character with insane sauce for a kid, a lot of potential creative ideas they could do. Just fucking go wild. You got Conquest has a certain power budget that you get to do some shit without it having to be like, it could be a little bit unrestrained.
Yeah.
But like, I saw some people who were like, "Oh, fucking Acolyte, I don't care." I'm telling you, if they do it justice, I think this is going to be another Darkrai. I'll see you on
statement. It's a fair statement.
I'm hopeful for that, to be honest, because it's the only thing about the Acolyte I'll tolerate. I don't have that much disdain for the show, but like I have zero interest in 98% of what that show had to offer, and so I get bogged down when it's like we know we're going to spend 3 months of time on content that doesn't interest me. I'd rather go somewhere where it's more intriguing. And anyways, that's
yeah.
It's just one character release, right? They're not doing an Acolyte era.
We're not getting Ocean May. We're not getting.
Thank God. I don't even think CG wants to burn It wants to do Scorched Earth, quite like doing a whole Acolyte era. I've said it before on this podcast, but I'm pretty sure that they had a whole era of Acolyte in the works, and then the public reaction came out, and they were like, "Oh fuck no, we're doing pirates, and that's how we got to where we are today. But then like, people still might, go for the Stranger. Let's do that. That's what I feel like happened.
If they do the character justice, I'll see you on Tuesday. This is not a vague post. We don't have any early access or anything. But
no. But that's when we should get the kit reveal, right? So
yeah, that character has the sauce.
Yeah,
and I will be shocked if he does not have it in Galaxy of Heroes.
All right.
Well, Ufus needed a 12 Omicron team.
Listen, dude. He can't get... He's a Sith. He can't get Ufu. You can't give that Sia Malicos team any more fucking power. No. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Sia Starkiller, Malicos,
I
more
kind of hope
stranger.
they treat him almost like a Bane 2.0, where it's like he's a one-man army.
That would be fun.
He could end up being a Bane lifter. As much as I maybe would not enjoy that.
Oh god, you can't know. Yeah, he's like, I also have rule of 2. So we are rule of 2 squared. We're going to double up on the benefits.
He prevents the death from Bane's leadership.
It's like,
cannot be defeated by leader abilities. Bam.
No, it'll be like if he's defeated by a leader ability, he revives, which can't be prevented. And it just it keeps on triggering for Bane's leadership, so he dies and revives and keeps giving him bonus stats.
Oh, like his Datacron used to do? That would be wild. Oh, that would be wild.
Yeah. We're about to unlock Maz Kanata, who says whenever a Sith takes a turn, everyone gets foresight.
Yeah.
So there's
there's
a non-zero chance that Chimera is going to release as a Sith with automatically dispel foresight whenever a Sith ally takes a turn.
It could be as egregious as, well, who was it? It was oh god damn it. What conquest unit was it that whenever fear happens, they take crap loads of damage? Who is that now? If it's a non-GL team.
That's Balin and Malgus.
Balin and Malgus.
That's their mechanics.
Well, it's Balin, right? It's like if the enemy fears you and they don't have a GL, they take like percentile max health damage. It could be the same. It's like if Jedi teams gain foresight, they just take 50% max health damage and they get locked heal immunity and buff immunity and ability block.
The only thing that sucks about the Balin versus Malgus fight is like the 40 seconds of watching the fears bounce until somebody gets a turn.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see the kit. Hopefully it's fun. So we have one final question before we wrap things up, and this comes from Atticus. He says, just about to start the majority of gearing for Leviathan. Is it worth it to wait until the relic changes for cheaper relics? It is cheaper relics, or just more, if it's cheaper relics or just more mats, or just say fuck it and go for Levy regardless. Got all the shipped farmed, bar 30 shards on the dagger, and most of the relics still. I guess my main question is, what's the most likely changes when R10 comes in reduction to cost and more materials? Oh, I've seen this going around a lot.
From what I can say, from what I've seen, I do not see a way in which CG reduces the amount of relics needed to take those characters to relics. Mm-hmm. I think their post insinuates a way potentially to bring new characters to relics for cheaper so that you're not having to spend resources on every 2 weeks. But I didn't see anything in the note that said, hey, we're going to just cut all the material costs to go from relic 1 to 7 to, half. I didn't see anything that insinuated that. So my assumption to a degree was like, they do some sort of lightspeed token for marquees now, and that's how we get our shit. But I can't give you a good answer on that either. I don't know. But fleets aren't changing. Fleets are a good investment.
Yep.
Leviathan's top meta, and CG's determined to keep it there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like Leviathan is going to maintain top of that meta for the foreseeable future.
At least another year.
Because it doesn't feel... I don't think they would have buffed Levy with the release of... Again. with the release of the Rogue One, unless they wanted to maintain its position for the foreseeable future. Because I honestly don't think CG know what to do with Fleet right now. I think they're just like they're bottom fluffing a lot instead of new releases. But hey, thoughts, Fatal? Do you think hoard or spend in terms of relic investments right now?
I largely agree, but the thing that I'll add is there is precedent for like, I don't remember when it was or how long ago it was, but they did cut out some of the cost of like, what was it, like 7, 8, 9 no longer requires.
Yeah, they did.
8 and 9 no longer require carbonite circuit boards or bronzium.
Yeah, they did do that.
I mean, there is precedent for that like maybe that could happen, but I don't remember seeing this in the official post, but I keep on hearing it said around in various communities. Did CG say that like they're targeting after the Stranger releases for this to
relic
come out?
Well, I remember them saying something like it will be live during the Stranger's Conquest, but it will not impact the Stranger's Conquest. Now, that's still pretty vague because Stranger's Conquest is going to be here for 3 months. So is it going to be live with the first version, the second version, the third version? Don't know.
Yeah, the tentative release date that I had from them was exact same thing. It was they plan on releasing it sometime during the next conquest cycle. As for an exact date, you could be 3 weeks, you could be 10 weeks. Good luck.
Yeah, and we know that obviously the Relic 10 and the change to the economy is all coming at the same time. So. Mm-hmm. I always like to take the stance of operate and invest in your rosters on what we know, not on what we don't know or what we're guessing. And for me, if it means getting your levy now rather than later, I would just do the investment now, personally. If you are literally at the point where you're like, I can unlock levy the next time it comes around, I would just do it and not wait. That's my personal stance on it. It could be cheaper in the future. If that's the case, you're going to have a little bit of short-term buyer's remorse, and then you'll get over it.
you got over your first order snafu. I think everyone else painful, can get over Leviathan.
Oh my god! Yeah, so for context, Fatal, I did not get Slacker for years. For years, my first one was Ray, and then I went Ray into JML, and JML into C, and then JMK, and then I never went and got Slacker for years. When I eventually decided to do Slacker, I spent like 1,000 Chirotech getting all the characters up. I unlocked him, and then 2 weeks later, the Lightspeed bundle dropped. And I was like, you fucks. $10 would have got me the whole fucking lot, basically. And no, I just fucking wasted so much Chirotech. I was angry for some time. But I got over it. Kind of. Just don't do that to me again. Ever.
Let that be a lesson to you. Don't you ever dare ignore new content.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Especially not. I mean, I don't know why. Like, I was always so jaded about Slacker in general because I was like, I went for Ray, and then there proceeded to be just months of Slacker buffs, and Slacker was soloing the raid, and Slacker was such a good investment, and Ray just sort of stagnated. Don't get me wrong, she's still a very useful unit to have, but I was always like, the grass is so much greener on the first order side of the field. I wish I was part of that group of people. But hey, there we go. So, Atticus, thank you for your question. Hopefully you are more informed and none the wiser. And that wraps up all of our questions. And we have been going on for quite some time, so I will ask everybody a question here. Is there anything you want to bring up? Excuse me.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Besides that?
I do apologize. That sneeze came out of nowhere.
I had one particular thing I just kind of wanted to hash out and get Fatal's opinion on was if there was still room to walk in the Relic Deltas we see now, where would you want those to go? Like, do you think we should drop, like, RD5 should be capped at 100% and we should walk everything else in? Because from our testing, we've seen that most counters, once you get to that, like, 50% increased damage, good luck. Like, you're losing that anyways, unless it's mechanically you're going to win. So would they have room to walk that in further, or do you think that we're kind of at where as far as they're going to push it in?
I think it would be an easy win to take, but I guess the numbers are just that high just to try to discourage the mechanical hard counters from being able to win. I don't know. Like, I'm opposed to cartoonishly high numbers, but I mean, at the end of the day, they've said it to us, right? They at a certain relic delta, they just don't want you to be able to win. So, like, at some point, what does the number matter? Like.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think it's like even at RD4, which is the 100%, like you're not stopping mechanical teams from working. And even at RD5, half of those teams still will just power through like it didn't even exist.
Yeah.
So So it's like, if you can't stop those, why don't you just bring the other numbers in to be more reasonable with player expectations? You know, I think everyone would be happy with 100% RD5 if RD4 was at like 60%. You know, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's just. I think that's just an inescapable aspect of this game that, like, there's no real easy way around it, right? It's just some teams are harder and more specific, some teams are softer and just kind of vibing with what they got, and how you try to build a system to account for everything is just kind of impossible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is just weird and hard to balance. I am always in favor of lower numbers, but for what they've said, at some point the number stops mattering if it achieves the same end goal. It's just an optics thing.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I think at this junction they can salvage it on. If they walked in RD4 like 30 or 40% and you still wind up in the same win rate category if at 100%. Except for the teams that mechanically will just always kind of just fluff around. I don't think they lose anything. I think players are a little happier about it. And then it's not that big of a deal. But that's all they can really walk in now is optics and make people think that they've listened and still get the same result.
Yeah. Who knows? I'm not even sure when we'll or if we'll see any walk back on the current numbers now. I'd be very surprised if they address RD4 at all. I think maybe at best we might be able to marginally change RD3, but I'd even be surprised at that. It feels like that we're getting pretty close to where CG wants it to be. Still, fight the good fight, I guess.
I think the chances were higher until I was surprised by how many content creators started arguing that it shouldn't be lowered or that it didn't need to be lowered for where it was at right now. And I was like, all right, I guess that's just how this playtest is going to go. What the fuck?
No, don't get me wrong. I'm still on the side of I would rather us just not do this at all.
I think everyone is, but like,
yeah.
You can agree with that and not play devil's advocate for a devil that doesn't need to be advocated for. I don't know. Like that. What the fuck are we doing?
The current RE3 is getting it's if you look at it from their perspective of what they want it to achieve, it's doing that. As an argument that it should be lowered or from there, that's from a player standpoint, then that's another can of worms for me. Because like I think it should be a little bit closer because I mean the problem is like we were talking about earlier, even under the current ones, most counters are already 3 at 30% difference are starting to fall apart. You just can't you can't take the blow. So it's just like I think they want the number so comically large, as to put it in Fatal's words, that it's just like, well, of course it's going to fail. It's 200% increased damage. Like it's over. So I don't like that approach though. I don't like to get bonked by a coyote hammer.
A coyote.
The wily coyote. Sorry,
you're talking like Roadrunner.
Yeah. Like I don't enjoy that. Yeah, I don't enjoy that mechanic. It just feels like it's kind of disrespectful to the players a little bit to be just like, well, we're kind of done with you doing anything here, so stop.
All right, okay, gentlemen. I will call it there. It's been fun. I've very much enjoyed having Fatal on the podcast. It was good to have you here, sir. I do appreciate your time. I realized that we've been going for 2.5 hours, and I said it's normally 2 hours, so we have definitely overrun. Sorry about that.
It's a lot of yappa, man.
Yeah.
We still could.
Yeah, and that's the problem, Garth. It's quarter to midnight for me, and I do need to be up for work in the morning. So I will call it there. But it's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you very much. This has been Tribe Talks once again. We'll be back next Sunday for another discussion. Probably, maybe not about Relic Delta, but maybe about the Stranger's Kit. Who knows? Yeah. So Fatal, do you wanna plug your shit anywhere? Do you wanna give a shout out, or do you just want to tell people to, I don't know, go fuck themselves? I don't know.
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/The Playbook. I also stream there and haven't really been doing videos for a hot long while, but that might be changing here shortly. Yeah, we'll see.
Look forward to it. Look forward to it. I hope to see this new take on Night Sisters versus Jabba. That'll be good for me because I still haven't properly learned that counter. So
nobody knows. Don't worry about it.
Nobody knows. It's witchcraft, quite literally. Counter is witchcraft. Karth, anything from you, good sir?
Nope.
So Karth said "wail harder" for those at home that couldn't hear it. Good night, everybody. Big love. Peace.